Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Would everyone please rise, and would Pastor Riley Grandal please come forward and lead us in an invocation?
We pray this morning. Lord, as we come together this morning, we just thank you for the privilege we have to gather together in freedom and in peace without fear of retribution. And Lord, we just lift up the situation in Ferguson, Missouri to you, and we thank you that your hand will be upon that situation and bring a swift resolution of peace. And we just give you all praise this morning for the privilege that it is for these men to come here, and we ask your wisdom and discernment for them to give them guidance to make the right decisions for the people this morning. And Lord, we just truly thank you for this beautiful, beautiful place in which we live. So Lord, as we lift these things up to you this day, let each one of us have peace in our heart, a joy for where we are, and love for one another. For we ask these things for all the people of all faiths, and as a Christian, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Slacker, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman McIntosh. Councilwoman Martin. Councilman Slackton.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Councilman Simmons.
Here.
Councilman Gibson.
Here.
Councilman Longcart.
Here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. And at this time, could we go ahead and go to public comment on agenda items? Agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please come forward. Oh, hello.
Good morning, Christine Ross, Bonita Springs Area Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to first ask you on item D to please support this economic development incentive package. Some of you saw in the news yesterday what this is about, and I won't steal anyone's thunder, but we would appreciate on behalf of the Chamber and the EDC if you would support that. I also want to ask you to support J, the art festival in the center of the city. It's a wonderful project. It was a great success, and to bring a lot of people to the center of our community. It's a class act, and I hope you'll move forward with that. And then lastly, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Bonita Springs Area Chamber of Commerce, I would like to ask you to reconsider your vote canceling the flyover, the PD&E study, excuse me. I would like to ask you to reconsider that vote. We believe this planning is necessary to go forward, and we hope that you will do that at this time.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Yes, Alex Grant, 11851 East Terry Street, Bonita Springs, Florida. City manager item number 11B. The proposed Imperial Landing project sits on a total of 5.27 acres divided by a 60-foot wide section of the Imperial River, an outstanding Florida waterway. The entire east side of the property north of the Imperial River is bounded by a 20-foot wide Lightno Creek, which empties into the Imperial River. This parcel of property, obtained by the city of Bonita Springs in late 2002, had some 56 mobile homes on both sides, or some 10 units per acre in a Category 1 high-hazard floodplain area. This is the most gorgeous piece of property in the city. Where would anyone find 5.27 acres bisected by an outstanding Florida waterway in the heart of the city? The answer most probably is nowhere in Florida. In the mid-1850s in New York City, the city council purchased Central Park and hired Frederick Law Olmsted to design the green space in Manhattan, preserving it for future generations. If the City Council of New York had not had the foresight to do this, we would have had nothing but high-rise, high-expensive condominiums and office buildings there today. Folks, money isn't everything. The quality of life of the residents who daily enjoy Central Park cannot compare to what would have happened 150 years ago if New York City City Council had not taken the lead to make Central Park. The 5.27 acres that the city owns is the most valuable piece of real estate in the city. Yes, even more so than the beachfront property, of which the city has none and Lee County has only a very modest amount. A city is noted for what it does. If a city takes the most valuable piece of property in its inventory, that is Imperial Landing, and reserves it for the citizens, that says a lot about the city. This is a priceless piece of property. It is a Mona Lisa, not having the commercial name of Imperial Landing. Let us not be greedy. Let us leave a legacy for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and future generations who live in Bonita Springs long after we are all not here on this earth. Let us be remembered by those who will come afterwards, as being good stewards and place their quality of life ahead of profit for a few. If we do something nice with the 5.27 acres and leave it in public hands, redevelopment will come to the neighboring area without having a detrimental canyon effect on our gemmed Imperial River flowing through the heart of our downtown area. This is much too lovely a parcel of land to overdevelop. It needs nurturing and tender loving care. Please use your good conscience on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Rex Sims. I'm a 29-year veteran of business on Old 41. I've survived the Old 41 Business Association, the CRA, the incorporation of the city, and now I don't know what's coming. One of the problems that I have is that I'm in direct competition with Naples, Florida, and Coconut Point. One of the problems we have is to get people to come to our vicinity and see what facilities we offer and give us a chance to be of service to them. Recently, we have had the Downtown Art Festival, which has been very successful in getting people down there for more than just a 2-minute drive-through. I support the art festival in its present mode. I realize that it's a hardship on some people and may need some modification, but it works. There are 10,000 people that are aware of my position, my location, that weren't aware of it before. As a matter of fact, we grade every order that comes in on where did you hear about us or how did you hear about us. And several of the people, new customers, have said they were here in the downtown at a festival and saw us. And so it works. And I would like for you to continue. Item J, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Hello, I'm Susan Bridges. My address is 9786 Treasure K Lane. I'm also the president for the Center for the Arts of Bonita Springs and the host organization for the festivals. I'd like to read a statement and hope to have your support for the festivals remaining in their present location. I'm sure you already know what the festivals mean to the families in our community, the over 10,000 youth who receive art programs, the schools who receive art programs because their budget cuts have eliminated art in their schools, the outreach and at-risk neighborhoods for local families who could never afford to go to a concert, a performance, an art exhibition, and the festivals provide that opportunity for them so that it makes it available to them. Yesterday, I sent out an email asking people about the festivals. By last night, I had over 900 emails from residents in support of the festivals. Can you imagine my inbox? 400 from Bonita Bay alone, 300 Pelican Landing, Pelican Sound, the Brooks, the remainder from people all across Bonita Springs. Outside Bonita, I received another 600 from North Naples, South Fort Myers, and Estero. Emails are still coming in. They're all asking what's wrong. They like the new location, and most important, they discovered something here that they didn't see before. And it's because they'd never been here before. They'd never been to downtown historic Bonita Springs. Somehow they managed to live here for years, and yet the festivals introduced them for the first time to that historic area. That is very important to all of us. So we're here today to review the festivals held in historic Bonita, Riverside Park, and adjacent streets. And we're here, I think, to discuss if the festivals are hurting or helping local businesses because of their location. I personally spoke with businesses in the inside corridor where festivals take place, where the street is closed, open on Friday, but closed Saturday and Sunday because of safety. What I heard was that businesses grew, met new customers, and realized opportunities for growth. I spoke with people at Sheer Unity Salon who met new customers and saw a new awareness of their business. Fidelity Florida, who appreciated the Friday parking spaces being protected by the city of Bonita Springs and the Art Center to make sure that people could get to them and access their business. They also understand what exposure to thousands of new people can bring them and are interested in utilizing the festivals and having a presence in the festivals. That's a really wonderful dialogue and partnership to have. Benson's Grocery, also interested in growing. We're working on their having a presence in our festivals as well. They also liked that the street was open on Friday and understood the safety reasons for closure on Saturday and Sunday. We're working together with them to help bring a highlight presence to them as another business in our community and providing exposure for them. Heaven Sent Flowers and For Heaven Shakes Ice Cream, you've already heard from. I spoke with them. They did great business over the weekends and have repeat customers increased as the result of it. And the restaurants, well, Survey Cafe couldn't keep up with the business. They saw opportunity as well and took advantage of it. That is the key piece here. They encouraged people to carry out their orders because they couldn't turn their tables around quick enough. So people carried out the orders and then took them back into the festival and ate their lunch. Stand subs, now you're going to say, wait a minute, they're not in the zone, but where do you draw that line? Where is the zone? They handed out flyers, which we provided extras for them, brought in lunch to the artists, and then did business. And they want to do that again. They want those festivals there, and they would like to see it happen. Also, the hotels, Buffalo Chips, Maria's Restaurants, all of them up and down that corridor, I spoke with them, and they also increased business and increased awareness of what they're doing. They would like to see the festivals continue and would like to grow with us as partners in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else at this time, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Jeffrey Saffield. I'm here to speak on item 8A regarding the sign ordinance. I believe most everybody got an email from my client, Mr. Michael Adams. He's a local business owner who runs the McDonald's franchises. And he's requested me to come by today and ask for y'all's consideration and delay of action on this sign ordinance advertisement to allow for time to work with the staff to work out not only with himself but other business owners to work on the draft ordinance prior to its advertisements. He understands that this is just an advertisement of the ordinance and it's just the beginning of the process, but he would like to be involved, as would many business owners like to be involved at these early steps to make sure the ordinance is strong moving forward and that's acceptable to both the city and to the business owners. In today's age of commercial architectural styles, you can't really brand your building. We've got landscaping now enhancements on, especially on fast food and convenience type retail. So really the last opportunity that these businesses have that rely on convenience and opportunity shoppers, if you will, is their signage. So it's a very important part of their business. And again, we'd ask consideration to delay action on this advertisement so that there's input with staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Al Engel, Engel's Bicycles, Engel's Bait and Tackle, representing the laundromat, representing a beauty salon, 4 businesses on all 41 that lost tremendous amount of money because of this art fair. It actually shut us down because of the road closing in front of my businesses. Now, there's no reason that this road has to be closed. I go to events all over the state. I go to Bike Week in Daytona where they have hundreds of thousands of people, and they cross 6-lane roads with no problem at all, no safety. This is, I don't mind the art fair. I don't care what they do or what they do with their money or how they represent themselves, but I want our roads opened. I can't in my heart tell a person who says, I want to come to Bonita Springs and I want to open a business on Old 41. Is it a good idea? No, it's not. The road is closed 3 of your prime weekends a year. You only get 8, 9, or 10 weekends a year to make money in season, and they shut us down. If this road is closed this year, I will close my stores, and I will let the newspapers know why I'm closing. I lost over $50,000 last year. We need help. We need this council to let the police in this town know we need this road open. There's other ways of securing safety for these people in this town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Hello, Jackie McCurdy, past chair and current board member of the Center for the Arts. There are a lot of deaths at Daytona every year, and we don't want that here in Bonita Springs. There's a safety measure that has to be. This gentleman has parking behind his store. There are thousands of people that never knew about his store that now know about it. And if he uses his business judgment, which I'm sure he has, he will profit from it just as Stan subs. I mean, there is no reason to change this. The Center for the Arts is one of the best things that has happened to Bonita Springs. It's been here forever. We try to help and do help, not just try, children, adults, all, and we give scholarships to many. We need this money. It's I think it's the 4th national show. It's not some podunk show. People come from everywhere to see it, and everywhere they will see these stores. There is no reason to change anything that was done to our agreement, which we signed for 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Jesse Purdon, District 2. Mr. Mayor, Council. I would like to voice my support for what Al Engel just said. Now, I don't want this to be mistaken to saying I'm against the art fair, because I'm not. I think the exposure is good. And I don't think anybody we've heard speak has had any issue with the causes that it serves and the good things it does for the city of Bonita Springs. But the reality of the situation is we have businesses that are down there. They have a very limited window to make money. It's feast or famine down there, you know that. So for us to cut off the road isn't fair to them as business owners. We can keep the art fair. The tents, to my understanding, the tents aren't going to be in the road this year. Is that correct? If that's correct, and the road can be open, we already have 5 police officers down there, if my math is correct anyways, for the road being closed off, down there on the carts doing things. So if we already have 5 police officers, we had 2. Now we have 6. We have the road open. Everybody wins. The art fair stays. Al Engel doesn't get angry and quit. The papers don't flood over here and ask us why we're drowning out businesses in Old 41 in a district that we're trying to rebuild. I think there's a viable option to make it work for everybody. These guys are here all year round. They're bringing people to downtown when nobody else is. Their businesses and their livelihoods are here. We need to take care of them. They take care of us. And I don't think there's anybody who's going to argue that. So with that being said, I think it's fair. Keep the art fair. Keep the road open. Have a couple more police officers down there. Everybody wins. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Let me take a quick second to establish a little credibility, then tell you why I'm up this day. In 1998, I became a county council member in Beaufort County, South Carolina. That may be an area you know, or maybe you don't. Home to Beaufort Marine Corps Air Station, home to Parris Island, home to Hilton Head Island, home to the little city of Beaufort. During the 1998 to 2006 period when I was in office, our population exploded, just as Southwest Florida did. I was happy to be part of the group that founded an area rapid transit and transportation study group that provided the advisory to the local community, including the municipalities and the state and the federal government. We met on a monthly basis. I'm watching what's going on as it relates to the study.
That's not on
I'm
the
gonna
agenda.
hold on.
Please.
I'm gonna have to ask you. This is for agenda items only, and it's not on the agenda. There is another time when you could speak to this
Okay.
issue, but that would be at the next
Wrong time.
opportunity.
Thanks, Ben.
But I apologize. I should
That's
make
quite
that
right.
more clear.
I'll
Thank you
step
very
down.
much for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this time on any agenda item, please?
Hello, my name is Lee Shine. I'm a Bonita resident over on Merriman Drive, and I am here to speak about item J, I just got back in town. I had a death in the family, so I didn't even know this was on. So I don't have prepared remarks, so you'll have to excuse me a little bit if I ramble. But essentially, I wasn't 100% sure what the issue was of why the art fair might need to not happen at Riverside Park. But lately I've been reading a lot about the goals of Bonita in the newspaper, trying to get young professionals, trying to get companies. And it seems like moving the art fair, when we heard it move to Riverside Park, we thought that's exactly in line with everything we've been reading and the reason we have chosen to stay in Bonita. And that moving it or deciding, sort of throwing the baby out with the bathwater and that there were a few hiccups, so maybe this isn't going to work, is exactly the opposite of everything we've been reading about. Study after study, whether it's Richard Florida or Forbes or whatever, highlights the fact that it's exactly that kind of event. That's why people want to live in a community, want to stay in a community, and by the way, why Hertz or Komodo or Google want to move to a community. We're very fortunate in my family because we could live anywhere we want. In fact, a friend just sent me a beautiful picture of his house he's trying to sell, which is literally underwater over on the river in Fort Myers. We just were walking around downtown Naples the other day saying, why don't we live here where we can walk everywhere? But we've had friends say, stay in Bonita. It's going to be even greater than it is now. And we've chosen to do that thus far. But I have to say, if things like this move in that direction of saying, too much hassle, we're not going to do it, we would probably start to make other decisions. One of the main reasons we've stayed here is the Bonita Art Center. Not only have we stayed here, and not only are we a member, not only do we do classes and perform there in my family, but we've attracted other families from Naples and Fort Myers who've been going to other places, the Sugden, wherever. They've recently discovered the Bonita Art League, not only because of the art fair, but because of the new theater center, which is a major investment. So it would be sad to see the major fundraiser or the major thing that keeps the Art League going disappear and then cause kind of the ripple effect, just as people from all over the community from the other cities are saying, wow, look at the quality of things going on here in Bonita. So I really wanted to mention that. I wanted to mention that the future seems bright. So it seems like getting into us against them is exactly what you don't want to read about in the paper. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's probably ways for everyone to be happy. I know it's nice if that park stays beautiful and empty all the time, but it seems like that's exactly what it's there for, is festivals, whether it's the Blues Fest, whatever. Those are the kind of things that keep us here. And I'm from Chicago. There's mega festivals all the time. You don't really hear about, the hotel saying, we're going to close up because there was too much traffic in front of our, that's what kind of keeps things going. Unfortunately, I was away because my mom passed away 1 week ago today. I can't even count how many art festivals she went to. She was born and raised in Chicago. My daughter today has her artistic talent. It's nurtured at the Art League, at the Art Center. It's because of her. Her life's been changed because of the Art Center. Our whole family really has been changed because of the Art Center. And while we have a great city council, I'd say the Art Center is one of the other highlights of Bonita. And so if you're not going to, depending on whatever the logistics are, if my speech hasn't made any impact, then please continue the art festivals for my mom. Thanks.
Thank you very much. If we're one of the highlights, we're in trouble. Thank you very much. Yes?
Good morning. Fred Forbes, for the record, 200 Alfred Moore Court, Bonita Springs. Actually, at one point in time, I was president of Arts League for a couple of years, and I didn't hear anyone here this morning on either side of this say they wanted to see the Arts Festival stopped. I do think that there ought to be a sincere, strong effort on the part of council to make it workable where you can keep the street open, provide the extra additional police force. They even got volunteers, I believe, that they could bring in, but that's important because these guys are there and you're going to be tearing the heck out of that street and the sidewalks and everything else, and that's going to have an impact, especially on Old 41, because it's a narrow road to start with. It's not like the work you did on Bonita Beach Road. So I would encourage you to keep the art festival going. but do the extra work that it takes to provide the people a flowway through there so that the merchants don't die on the vine in that area. And some are more affected than others. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward on agenda items. Ah, this guy. He looks familiar.
I have to apologize, but it has been 3 years, so.
Mr. Price, you're more than welcome to come here anytime to
Mayor
your
Nelson.
house.
I didn't come here to talk about these, but I've heard for years everybody else says they weren't here for this item. But my name is Gary Price. I live on Matheson. My address is in the public record. I have to disagree with my friend Alex Grant, Imperial Landing. That property was purchased by the city for development. It was using funds that could be used for development. It was not using the types of funds that are restricted. It wasn't using park funds. So it was purchased for development. It does have flood restrictions, but those are things that everybody has to meet that lives along the river, lives out on the beach, have to meet flood restrictions. I'm confident that council can allow a development in there that will not cause the canyon type effect that Alex and I am concerned about with the development along Old 41. I do maintain that maintain it as a park creates or leaves a black hole in the walkability of Old 41. It's a long area. There's nothing in there except a parking lot that's only used during events, and it's a long way to get from one end to the other if you want to create or encourage a walkable community. Unlike Central Park, this property was purchased for development. It was purchased in such a way that the council had strict control over the way it's developed. The city can add extra requirements onto the development because you're the owner. You can't do that with a lot of other private properties. So there's extra protections in there. It's different than Central Park. It is a black hole, and I have to respectfully disagree with my friend Alex. Regarding the art fair, I remember talking to Al Engel back when we did the redevelopment for the area in front of the Riverside Park behind Al Engel. At the time, Al, I love you, but you disagreed with that too. It's been so unsuccessful that he's added 3 more businesses in there since that was done. He may, in fact, lose business during the events. I have no question. That's up to him. But as was said earlier by another presenter, it shows people that there's a bike shop there that might not have otherwise seen or know that there's a bike shop there. So it does bring people downtown. He might lose business on that day, but I think at the end of the day, his bike shop and other businesses gain business throughout the year, probably even the slow months during the summer. So I don't think it's fair to say that the art fair blocking the road has cost him business. I think that he's wildly successful, and I think he will continue to be wildly successful in spite of the fact that the road is closed 3 weekends a year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
My name is Barry Witt, and I'm involved with the festival. And I'd just like to clarify a couple of items as far as the street closure. The street closures are not totally blocking Al's space. The people that are walking from the parking to the north, it's a little hard to describe without graphics, but the street's open to the back of his store, so there's parking spaces. The city's put up signs that say access to retailers, and he's named as a retailer, is available. So the thousands of people that are walking from the parking lots in front of Everglades down to the festival have access to his store. And I think from dealing with retailers for a long time, and I've done this in Naples and I've been all over the country involved in these type of things, if you're positive as a retailer, if you invite people in, if you're saying, here, look at this bicycle, a bicycle's like a pair of shoes, it should fit right. You can't buy it off the internet. Or you can put up a sign that say, this festival's killing my business, and in effect saying to a person walking down the street, you're here, I don't want you. Think about it on a positive aspect. I mean, we try to be positive all the time, and people want you to be positive. They want you to be happy. They don't want you to be yelling at them. They don't want you to say, this is not a good thing. Whatever we do downtown, I think is positive. I moved to Bonita Springs when it wasn't a fashionable place to live in. It was before Bonita Bay, et cetera, et cetera. I'm involved in Bonita Springs because I love the community. I have no ties. It's just like the other guy said. I don't have to live here, but I wanted to live here. And so I wanted to be active. I want people to come to this city and say, it's not 50 years ago, it's today. What are my kids going to do? What's it going to look like in the future? So I think everybody has to give and take a little bit, but the important thing that I'd like to bring out is that the street that's blockage is bringing people in front of that store. And I think if he's more positive about it, fishing demonstrations, bicycle demonstrations, see why this is a better bicycle. Whatever you do, people are coming to look at things. They'll look at his store. You put up a sign, close the doors, trust me, they're not coming in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward. Okay, then that's the end of public comment at this time, and we are to proclamations and presentations. And at first, we have a presentation by our good friends at the Small Business Development Center of Florida Gulf Coast University. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, citizens and staff of Bonita Springs. It is my pleasure to rise again before you today to report on the Small Business Development Center at FGCU. Normally at this time, I would be spewing a whole bunch of numbers about how successful we are at doing things. I'd like to do something slightly different today. The numbers are in your packet, and I have left some in the back for the audience that would like to see them. What I occasionally hear when I'm introduced to somebody and they find out I'm with the SBDC is, oh, you're the guys who write business plans for us. And that's a misinterpretation. We certainly help people build businesses. In the process of that, we may be assisting in writing plans. But we're much more than that. We are one of 34 centers in Florida, 50 offices located throughout the state. We're designated by state law as Florida's principal provider of assistance to businesses. We work with businesses at every stage of their cycle. We work with all industries. We are part of the Florida University system with a professional staff, and we provide access to the faculty at Ludgard College of Business. Our purpose is very simple. We're here to help businesses grow. In the process of that, we expect to improve the local economy, and we expect to assist in the increase of job creation. We do that by providing 3 different types of services. We provide private, no-cost consultation to anyone who wishes to talk to us. We provide training sessions, long ones and short ones. And we provide tons of business data and related information, including demographics, that might otherwise cost our clients lots of money to obtain. And I just pushed the wrong button, so let's do that again and push the right button. I apologize for that. The training sessions come in 2 flavors. We have local sessions, and in your package you will find some flyers for them. We will be talking about sales taxes on September 10, something that I think many businesses need to know more about it, even if maybe they don't want to. We will talking about securing a business loan on the 17th of September, and as you approved earlier this year, we will be doing a co-sponsored seminar with the city on running a business in Bonita Springs. In addition to that, we have on-campus, typically on-campus sessions that run whole day or half day. In January, we had an entrepreneurs law school. We expect to run that again next year, may not be in January, but we had in excess of 250 business owners come talk to a bunch of lawyers, come work with lawyers in seminars and sessions. We do the Distinguished Entrepreneurs Program and Award in May that you all are very aware of, and we appreciate the mayor and the city manager joining us in that last May. We did an Access to Capital session on August 1 on campus. We had in excess of 140 people who were able to talk to 12 bankers, 4 venture capitalists, and a few alternative funders. We will be doing on October 5 a P2P, gee, what a funny word, Passion to Profit program, Saturday morning on campus, number of seminars, different tracks. I will be spending time with the attendees on how to become smarter, become more strategic in developing the business, not just operate it out of the hip pocket. We have 25 local professionals. That represents hundreds of years of business ownership experience. We have lots of degrees, we have lots of certifications, but more important, we pay attention to what the client wants. We live locally, we live where we work. I live on Pullen Avenue here in Bonita Springs. We hope that gives us a vested interest in the work. We hope that that leads to trust in the work we do. We're looking for long-term client relationships. We target 4 types of folks. First of all, may I call them tire kickers? All of us have occasionally an idea of, gee, I think I would like to start a business. I really enjoy doing this. Let's turn it into a business. Come talk. We may need to help you think about that a little bit. Then we work, as I said at the beginning, in helping people develop a plan so that they can indeed take that idea and turn it into a business and start it. But in addition to that, we work with micro businesses, businesses that have at least 1 year of life, at least 3 employees, and need to figure out where to go from here. What do I want to do with that business is their question typically. And then finally, we work with small and mid-sized businesses. I have a couple of businesses with more than 40 employees. I have one with 60 employees. I have colleagues in the system who work with larger organizations. We work in areas of business planning, strategic planning, health assessment, and we're not talking Obamacare here, we're talking the health of your business. We work on market research, marketing planning, and all of that stuff. We assist in finding money to start or grow a business. We assist in developing knowledge, as you can see right there. Our professionals are divided in 2 groups in my mind. We have generalists like myself. The generalists are typically located in specific areas. For instance, I'm in the Bonita Springs Estero area. I have colleagues in Naples, in Fort Myers Beach, in Fort Myers, in Cape Coral, Lehigh, Clewiston, and Port Charlotte. On campus, we have some specialists with, some generalists with special skills. We have foreign language skills. Yes, Spanish. We have somebody who can handle a little bit of French and quite a bit of German. We have minority certification individuals, and we have government contracting individual. We have specialists. These are folks who will leave their office and come to your business and help you right there. 3 of them are growth acceleration specialists, Those are people who, if your business is 3 years old or older and you want to figure out how to grow it so that you can be like Mr. Engel and have 4 businesses, we will help you do that. We have a QuickBooks specialist who comes to your office, figures out what you've done wrong for the last 4 years and created a mess in the database. She'll straighten it out and she'll keep you straight. We have a technology expert who can help you set up your network in the office, who can help you network outside, who can help you with websites. We have, as I mentioned, a sales tech specialist, former employee of the Florida Department of Revenue. We have a social media lady who will work with you on how to use those social media programs for business purposes, not to communicate with your kids or grandkids or friends, but how to communicate, use them in a business environment. And then last but not least, we have an international trade expert. Ladies and gentlemen, we're more than just the people who write a business plan for you, and I appreciate your giving me the opportunity to explain that. Thank you very much. I'll gladly answer any questions.
Thank you. Nice job. Council, you got any questions?
Nope.
Sir? Thank you so much. It's good to see you again.
Pleasure.
All right, thanks. Okay, and now, citywide landscape initiative presentation by our good friend Christian Busk. Or Christian. Hi. Matt, too. With his lovely assistant, Matt. Sorry, Matt. All right.
Apologize.
You're just ignoring me. Come on.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. My name is Matt Feeney, the Public Works Director and Council. I thought I would give just a little brief introduction before we have Mr. Busk give a little bit of an update on our landscaping plan. We have been working on the largest contiguous stretch and most difficult piece of the landscaping initiative, which is US 41. Chris has designed in totality 5.1 miles of roadway from county line to county line. We are in with FDOT for permitting of construction of that, and that includes plantings on both edges of the right-of-way as well as within the medians. So it's really the largest piece in terms of the body of work and most complicated because of the Florida Department of Transportation coordination that we have to conduct. We expect to be out to bid with that project as well as East Terry Street, which is much simpler and has been wrapped up and designed concurrently with this process here at the end of this month to get these plantings going in the early fall. And then we plan to come back to you to verify or modify the conceptual approach that we had talked about back in December, where the next roads identified would be Beach Road in the from US 41 to I-75, as well as Old 41. So we want to see if council is concurrent with that. But we expect our progress to accelerate rapidly because 41 really was the lion's share of the difficult work. And we're at a point now where we'll start to see that change. So I'll let Chris talk about what he's incorporated in the design and show some of the areas I think that will really make a change in the city. Go ahead, Chris.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
I have Nick Lehman is with my office, and he's helping me with the presentation here. We have done 5 miles of roadway for the 41 project for landscaping, and what we brought today was basically, I think one of the major impact areas. We have several areas, but I think the main focal points running through Bonita is really 41 and Bonita Beach Road, and what we brought is an elevation of what we'd like the landscaping to look like when you're at the intersection, so you get the really feeling of what Bonita should be like. Nick, you can bring that and put it side by side. What we're showing here, and I'll talk about the roadway in comprehensive way, but this is really, the right side is basically if you were looking looking east and you saw Iguanamia. That's in front of Iguanamia. The picture on the left is basically in front of Perkins. So if you can imagine Bonita Beach Run running between the two of them. Right now, there's very little there. You see a few oak trees in the background, but there's nothing vertical. There's nothing that really gives you the impact of like you're entering the city or it's an important space. So what you're seeing is the heights of what's interesting about Florida landscapes is that we actually get to create drama and all of our highlights. And it's like magic because we can bring in the palms and within a few days it's totally transformed. You can never do this up north with conifers and trees up there. So we're so lucky to be able to do that. So what you're seeing is a representation of all the heights that really will be there. This isn't going to be growing over 30 years, although it will be over time. These are all designed. We have the royal palms we're using in the backgrounds. We're using the date palms as accents. The Sylvester date palm is the one most widely used because of the least amount of problems with those palms. We're using those as accents and Bismarckias, and we're using a number of trees like the Podocarpus gracilior is actually backdropping the texture of the palms in this landscape. So I think that we have some beautiful developments in Bonita, and you get a character of what Bonita should be like. Bonita Bay is probably the best example of that. If you drive through Bonita Bay, you'll see especially the best use of color anywhere in this region. And I think that there have been comments made. The graphics here show the green of what you should see in the landscape, and it should be year-round. We don't really have the winter season doesn't really affect most of our landscape, and what we don't want to see is basically a lot of deciduous trees along the roadway. However, some of our trees are deciduous that do flower, so from time to time we'll have different accents. But this actually represents what we'd like to see as a main impact and the real wow factor for the landscaping going through Bonita. We're starting the 41 project that basically starts from Bill Smith, obviously from where Collier County is, all the way up to the Ship restaurant. And there's so many challenges along there. We've pinpointed some difficult areas. I think because we don't have a master plan really figured out for the drainage along both sides of the roadway. You have a lot of different types of ditches that you're seeing when you drive there, and there's different ways that this can be managed, which we can improve. Because I'm going to be working with Matt and Brad Browning on the maintenance after the project is actually installed. But the big challenges are basically to camouflage what's there because we don't have the funding to actually put it underground. So you're seeing a lot of areas now, if you drive north, Collier changes. I think the landscape, that's the biggest challenge we have basically, is covering up the bad things. And then everything we put in is going to be good. If you drive down south from Bonita down into Naples on Livingston Road, I think you'll get a feeling of the scale of what the medians are like actually in Bonita, driving through Bonita. The scale of how wide the medians are is very similar to Livingston Road. We'll be doing similar tree plantings. If you'll see that project has been put in by one of my staff members that worked for Hanya Landscape. That was done 10 years ago. So if you drive down, you'll see the canopy and how there was nothing there but just tomato fields. You'll see how it's changed just in 10 years. But what we're adding to that is that there's really not a lot of texture in that landscape. If you drive there, you'll just see a lot of foliage. You'll see some flowering trees. But what we're proposing down 41 is groups of royal palms punctuating the landscape. So when you look down the boulevard, you'll see green. I mean, it's not just going to be, you're not going to have to wait years and years. It's going to be there when we finish the project. So starting this fall, when the plans are put out to bid and we select someone to do the work, when they start, you'll actually see the groups of palms going parading down 41. And then we'll be using the trees, but they take a little time just to fill out. So the nice thing about our floral landscape is you get basically immediate, realization of what it should look like because we can get the height. I don't have any questions.
Good. Council, you have any questions for Chris about the design? No? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Peter.
Nothing about design, just kind of sense of time frame?
Well, for 41 and Terry Street, 41 is the massive project, the 5 miles. I can get a timeline. Next time we have a meeting, I can tell you how long I think it'll take them to install it. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was more like a 3-month project. There's a lot of material, but where most of the roadway, we've designed it where most of the planting, you have tree plantings on both sides of the roadway. You have palm plantings. The center medians are restricted by turn lanes. They're restricted by billboard signs.
Matt's going to help you out with the time frame.
Councilman, to answer your question about time frame, we are in permitting with FDOT for the design on US 41. So Chris has wrapped up the design work. As soon as we hear back from them, which we expect at the end of this month, then I'll put it into a bid package, which takes maybe a week and a half. We'll get it out on the street, which takes about 30 days, and then we'll have it before council to approve. And then it typically takes a couple of weeks to get the contract. You know, you have to work with their schedule. But from then, I think Chris's answer about 3 months is right. As soon as we get into that phase of the project, and that is not just US 41, that's East Terry Street as well, because he's designed it, then we'll turn him loose on the other projects within the city. We intend to finish everything we discussed at the workshops last year within this fiscal year. And we expect that our progress will be much quicker because we don't have the volume and the thought that went into the design of this project. He looked at every individual situation as to how to make the road look better, maximizing our dollar value and minimizing our future maintenance.
So is that November, roughly?
I think November would
Sounds
be
like November-ish.
fair guess.
Okay, great,
Good.
thanks.
Good. While we got Matt up there, is there any questions for Matt and or Chris? No? I've got a little question. I didn't hear you mentioned I-75 Bonita Beach Road to the east, which is, I would describe it as barren. Beautiful communities surrounded by, what do you think?
Actually, and that's why I mentioned, I know that council's been discussing the idea of a visioning for Beach Road from the interstate towards US 41. And that, if you look at the way we kind of scheduled these flexible priorities as to what the next project was, that's really the next area we were anticipating and looking at.
Okay.
We've received a lot, Beach Road Westerly, apologize. We've received a lot of requests about Beach Road East. It was also in our project list. It was just a little bit later in the timing of things. So I thought maybe when we come back, when this is out to bid and we're kind of moving towards an autopilot scenario on that, get council's thoughts, because that might be the next place that you would desire to go ahead of Beach Road from the interstate westerly, because things change. If a visioning comes back and says, reshape the road this way, that may gain areas for landscaping. It may put it off a little bit and allow us to go to other areas.
I can't wait for that opportunity. I'm sure Bill can't either, because that area is really deserving. It's been waiting a long time. Beautiful communities, really growing. They need some help. So, would you agree, Bill?
I totally agree. And
No,
I appreciate you two fellows and what you're doing, and it's a major thing that it's nice to see something that's done by qualified people, both of you. And I trust both of you.
Don't count me in that.
I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
You're good guys.
Oh, let's not get carried away. Come on.
Well, I'm sorry.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah. The green sheet also mentions East Terry.
Yes, sir.
What are we going to be doing along
East
there?
Terry is designed right now. East Terry Street between Imperial and Old 41, Chris has also developed designs on. So it will be out to bid at the same time frame as US 41. So we'll see both of those projects go in the ground November time frame.
Okay, but we don't have any representation of what it's going to look like?
We can do that at our next meeting.
No, I don't.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah, no concrete plans, but we do have, it does follow the general
Just
representation.
so you understand, these renderings are not typically what Chris is laying out. The plans are in a plan view, so you have an overhead set of plans, and I can get you a copy of those plans. But to visualize it, we've asked him to draw these renderings. It's not, I don't have 100 pages of renderings that look like that. I just have the few that we've brought forward.
I like the overview better.
Okay,
Anyway.
I can get you a copy of those.
Quick question. The palm trees that are shiny, I mean, the base of them are shiny, they're extra, what are those called?
The shiny palms.
Well, not the leaves, but the base of the tree?
The royal?
Are they, no, are they royals?
The
Is that what
royals
they
aren't
are?
shiny. They're all
Yeah, but
silver
I'm
trunk.
talking a hardwood.
That's a royal. That's what we're using. It's a native to the Everglades.
Okay.
And there, you know what? We did an original scheme of the entire 41 and Terry Street, and just talking with growers that supply the palms, what we found is there's been a real shortage of palm trees in the state because there's been such a lag of actually development for the last 8 years, so that the growers that had material didn't grow anything new because they couldn't sell what they had. So a lot of the cities have been buying up, and developers and landscape contractors have been buying the material that was on the market. So we found that we couldn't really match. Originally we were going to have royal palms like every 100 feet. I think I mentioned that in one of our last meetings, but what we found is that they really didn't have that many quantities where you could match 500 palms. So I was talking to the grower Palmco out in Pine Island, which actually supplies one of the largest quantities of palm trees in the state, and he said we'd be better off using staggered heights because you wouldn't have to match the palms. But I think that's what you're talking about is that royal palm. And to answer your question about the interstate, we did meet with FDOT, and they do control the interstate, which we didn't realize that they have to actually contract that with one of the landscape contractors. It's something we have to do some kind of a coordination thing with FDOT on that. You'll see that Mockley Road has just been done by Collier County, and I know that's been in the plans for a long time, but they just are finishing that. You can see what a difference that makes in the northern part of Collier County. So it's going to make a tremendous change for us because at least we'll have the texture. You have things like oak trees already out there, on the southern ramp, but there's really nothing on the. We can make it look great.
Good. All right.
Are you solely looking on Pine Island? I'm all about supporting Lee County, without a doubt, for these trees, but I have the disadvantage of having been down to the Keys a couple of weeks ago and winding my way down through, I believe it's Hialeah.
Yeah.
And you know that stretch where and we stopped in at 4 or 5 places.
Yeah.
And what's that triple palm tree? I'll send Matt some pictures. That'll be rather than sounds like rhymes with here, but.
Well, a lot of the growers are actually south of Fort Lauderdale, mainly in the Homestead area, and so you have
Homestead,
massive quantities of nurseries that actually grow most of the material, and most of the tropical material in the state is down there. And they, of course, they got hit by Charlie, and they had a huge, Wilma came down there, and there was a huge loss at that period of time. We lost a lot of the material in the state, and then it's been 10 years. Some people replanted, and then the economy kind of slid. So but most of that, we'll probably, it depends on who gets the bid and the project, where they get the material. But, we're going to have specifications on the material, whether they get it locally. The local material is usually more expensive than material down in Homestead, so they'll get just loads coming from Homestead. They'll get the palms at so much a price, and it's hard to tell where they're going to get the material from. We're going to be actually, some of our oak trees will be cathedral oaks, and there's only so many growers that grow a cathedral oak that has a central leader. You don't have a lot of errant growth and problems with trees later on. So there's a lot of things we handle in the specifications, and we can't really tell sometimes where these contractors are going to buy their material from.
Right. Okay. Matt, I'll send you a couple of suggestions if that's okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Who knows these days?
I wanted to clarify, if I might, Council. These renderings show the area. This shows Beach Road, the intersection of Beach Road and 41. So it's to give you an idea of where we really put the massing in. What's kind of goes unseen there is this obscures the view of the drainage ditch that you currently see in that area. So it really goes a long way to hide that. That density of trees is not what Chris's plans for the entire stretch are. It's groupings that show and highlight the themes that you see in there, but it's not as dense as what you see there. That density is reserved for the intersections and focal points within the system.
Okay, good. FYI. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thanks. Nice job. Okay, now consent agenda. Council, we have items A through J. And look at it carefully, please, and let me know if there's anything you would like to pull. Yes?
Mayor, just a question procedurally. What I'd like to do, I don't really want to pull one, but could I get either the captain or the lieutenant up here to discuss the the blocking of the road. And
Well, yeah, we can go ahead and pull it and have a discussion
Have a
about it.
discussion,
It doesn't-
okay.
it's Really, that's the appropriate way to do it.
Okay.
All right, you want to go ahead and
Pull J.
Pull J. Okay. Any other ones that the council would like to pull for any reason, other than just further comment or examination or questions?
Besides J, I'd like to pull D.
D?
And I'd like to pull B and C.
Holy
B and C. Okay. So we've got B, C, D, and J being pulled. Anything else? Is there a motion to approve the remainder?
Motion.
Have a motion to approve the remainder in a second. Councilman Simon Stammet. Will I ever get that right? As soon as I'm off council, I'll get that right. Roll call, please.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Okay, we'll start in alphabetical order. Item B, exercise the option to extend the one-year contract.
Yeah, I had seen Carol Green here. I just figured she's here. Carol, you want to come up and say hello? I don't know. Maybe, okay.
By all means, I told someone yesterday, I was at a meeting, I said, I've never met a microphone I didn't like, so.
Stick around.
No, and regards from my business partner, Ashley Stachel. She was with me the last time, and all of you know that we are expecting a little baby girl in just a few weeks, and so she's not able to be with us today, but sends her regards to. We have enjoyed a very long and we hope that you believe fruitful relationship with the council, and really look forward to having an opportunity to continue in that same path and respectfully ask for your approval so that we can continue to do that. We're always available, and certainly always available to Carl on any issues that you have that come up. We look for session, won't be starting this year until November because of elections. We have to wait till elections to have all of our folks sworn in, but we do believe that because of the fact that we have elections this year, everything will happen in a very condensed manner, so we're going to be moving really quickly. So we'll look forward to putting that platform together very soon.
Good. And at that time, you'll come back before us so we can develop our legislative agenda, correct?
Yes, sir, by all means.
Good. Any other questions for Carol? Okay, thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve that item?
So moved.
There's a motion to approve in a second. By Bill or Pete? Mike?
One of us.
Anyway, roll call, please.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you all very much.
Very much. Okay, item C, Peter?
Yeah, I just wanted to see here, Carl, any thoughts here, or Audrey?
Yes, and I think Meg may want to come up to the front as well, our HR manager. Just generally speaking, what you're seeing in front of you are those types of regulations that the city manager would be able to change based upon things that are trending with regards to going on internally with the city, additional regulations that may be required. Typically simpler things. What you have seen before you and you've already adopted over the last actually several weeks are those items that are attached to the council's responsibilities under the charter, and those have been adopted by ordinance. This here, we are simply informing you of the base document that we're looking at to be more administrative in nature. However, we are committed to, as we change those, to bring those to you in the same format as we make changes, but only the changes next time, just so the council's informed of what we're up to. They'll show up on the consent agenda. And I don't know if Meg or Audrey's got anything to add to that.
Audrey?
Well, I wasn't planning to add, but of course I can always
You had
add
that
something.
look. I don't know.
Well, and just council, just a short, because sometimes things happened a meeting or two meetings ago. You approved some of the items in here that needed to be approved by either ordinance or statute. The other items are the remainder items that are within the city manager's determination pursuant to the charter, where the city manager is to, with the employees, which I
Okay.
had proper verbiage there, but.
Good. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Meg or anybody? Yep. Thank you very much. What's your pleasure? You want to go ahead and approve this item? Or just acknowledge receipt of it? That's just part of it. You make a motion to that effect? Because it's on there.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcor.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh. Councilman Slackton.
Aye.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, staff. Okay, and they were to item D, conceptual approval of proposed economic development incentive package.
Well, mainly, I just pulled this because I wanted to thank the EDC for everything they do, trying to attract businesses to our community. And I just wanted to say I look forward to the Commuto Group to coming into the city.
Oh, good, thank you. There's an interesting story behind all of this, isn't there, Christine? That I can't wait to tell 10 years from now. Anyway, so so thank you very much. It is exciting, and they're a great company, and hopefully they will choose Bonita Springs. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. But anyway, is there a motion to go ahead and
Motion to
this?
approve.
Oh, we have a motion, and we'll say a
Second.
second here. And any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcor.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh. Councilman Slackton.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye. Okay, and now we are to item J. And I bet you Laura's going to make herself available here at some point in time. Hey, thanks. Okay, a question.
Yes, if I could have the lieutenant come up, please. Given the fact that we heard the owner of Engel's Bike Shop saying about the great loss of money that he's experienced, what I was wondering, Lieutenant, is there any possibility of keeping that road open and still keeping our constituents or whoever is visiting here safe?
Well, we looked into the whole thing, and due to the volume of pedestrians and where the event is at, it's just a public safety issue. I mean, I worked in many events down here, and with the pedestrian traffic, where we block the roads at and have them detour around, the city and the community that passes through here are so used to when something gets shut down, they follow this certain path. If you start moving road closures or leave it open, you're gonna have pedestrians going across. I know we have crosswalks there, but in major events, you're gonna have people just not knowing what's going on and walking straight across the road. And due to public safety, and that's our number one issue here for us, is to keep the people and the people who are attending the community or the event, safe.
Thank you, Lieutenant Price.
Okay, all right. Your quiz. Yeah, Mike.
First, please stay. But Audrey, do I have any conflict with this?
No, I was lucky enough this morning to do my research, and I have found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 Commission on Ethics opinions that say when there is a new road alignment or a road work, road projects, and there is an adjacent business nearby that is either owned or a council member works for, it is too remote and speculative to determine that there is a voting conflict. Now, with the exception that if there's an actual taking where we actually need property in the takings cases. So you're free and clear to vote and participate as you deem fit.
Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
Mike, what you got?
Well, last night I also made up a little map, if we could have that pulled up. I apologize for the crudity of it. I did use my son's markers to make it. But when I was looking at the road detour for the road closure, the majority of the parking, which I marked with the green sections, the majority of the parking is still on the other side of the road, the traffic that it's going through. And most of the sheriff presence is up along Old 41, so they're still having to cross sections of the traffic without the help of the sheriff's office.
Are you talking back on Feltz and Shriver and areas like that?
Yeah. Well, if you look, well, we have the bamboo property. Traffic's diverted after that, so they still have to cross over the traffic. We do have the little patch of land in front of Napa, which is within the limit. But then we have the church property for parking. That's on the other side of the traffic. And then we have the other one all the way to the top right there. That's all on the other side of the diverted traffic. So they're still crossing that traffic to get to the art show.
Yes, in the residential areas back in there. Yes, you're
Yeah.
correct.
And that's the bulk of the parking that they're going to be parking at.
Correct.
So I don't see why it's okay for them to cross the traffic there and not on Old 41, where we have 3 lighted crosswalks and the traffic signal at Pennsylvania that also has crosswalk signals. And, with the sheriff's presence and, maybe some more deputies there to help and the voice, I think it'd be safer for the pedestrians to be crossing on Old 41 at the designated crosswalks with your help, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I hear what you're saying. Old 41 being a busier corridor than Shriver and Feltz. That's an issue. People crossing the road, and I'm telling you, we monitored it. We watched these people last year, and when they did park over these designated areas that you have in green, they did wander through the neighborhood to get to over where the event is, and they just went across Old 41 at any different point. They weren't following the crosswalks. They were just going across the road.
But prior to that, they crossed the traffic that was diverted. So the traffic that would have been on Old 41 is now going down that residential street, passing in front of residential houses. And it's a much narrower street than Old 41 too. I think that it creates more of a safety concern going down a residential street like that and still having the people cross without any assistance.
All right.
Okay. All right. Council, did anybody have any other comments? I think this is these are the kind of problems you want to have. Actually, I know that Al wouldn't think so, and you don't think so, but and I'm not making light of this, but for the last 14 years, this is the problem we've been trying to create. Is that we have a lot of people coming downtown, and we have a parking problem, and there's a conflict between these things. In my opinion, just from and I know not having a business right on the road there, it's a different perspective there. But when you go through different cities, different states, all over the place, it isn't the exception that this happens. It's the rule that this happens. This is how you bring activity to the areas that you want. This is how you bring people down there. Gary put it better than I've heard it put in a long time, or maybe ever, was that there is that collateral benefit. I know that it seems like from one standpoint that, oh my gosh, I'm losing business on these particular days where the road's closed. And it may be true. But the flip side of it is that you're probably benefiting way more than what you're losing, because we are forcing people to walk very slowly right in front of your store, and people are finding out where you're at. I don't think there's anybody that's saying that they're not being prevented from going to your place or parking there. There's a way to get there when they want to go there. It's just that there's not traffic and people are driving by and, oh, look, a bike shop. I think that's the only thing I would think that's prohibited from it. That I would think, and I'll give you a second here. And so that's basically it from my standpoint. I think that the benefits that I can tell from looking at it and from listening to everybody's testimony and Mike and Al's concerns, the benefits still seem to outweigh whatever may be happening there. And I think that the comments about the potential to do some things there as a business person, I think those are real. I think those are real things that in other areas I've seen them do. Is like, okay, boy, tomorrow's the farmer's market where they close everything down. Let's get ready for that. Let's do what we are going to do there to pull people in. So anyway, Mike.
Well, and there is access to the parking lot coming from the north side, but anybody coming from the south side, they just see that the road's closed, and there may be signs there that say local business is open, but it's very confusing figuring out how you're going to get there. And our customers have bicycles, larger objects that aren't easily transported, so they're either parking further away or they're just turning around and not coming back that weekend. It was a substantial financial loss, $50,000, which equates to 2 full-time employees making $12 an hour annual salaries. So I mean, a loss like that, it's a big loss. You have to balance that somewhere, either letting somebody go or cutting back on other things. But nobody's saying to get rid of the art show. I like having the art show there. I do see a benefit of bringing more people to downtown Old 41, and I appreciate that. And I do see us fostering new customers that way. But I still see, I think even the art show would benefit from having Old 41 open, because it would reduce the amount of traffic. People get stuck in traffic for too long. They're going to say, oh, let's go do something else today. Let's go to the beach. And I know, talking to a few of the artists last year, they felt attendance wasn't very high. So I think that could be a factor there too. I just don't see why we can't have the road open and have the art show, have a win-win for everybody. Yeah. And I would like to make a motion to pull this from being voted on today, so that way staff has more time to work with the sheriff's department to try to figure out a way to have the road open and have the art show.
Okay, Mike's made a motion to not vote on this today. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. And discussion. Laura?
I just wanted to point out that we have reviewed this item countless times last year and this year to try to bring you the most up-to-date information and try to work with all the concerns about the road closures with the local businesses and the Center of the Arts. During these meetings, it was indicated that the Center of the Arts tried different layouts and they were not working for the art festival. They would like to keep it on Old 41, so I just wanted to encourage them to speak if you have any questions about layout changes right now that they could talk to you about. We have revisited this. Staff has worked with all parties involved, and we're coming to the same conclusion.
Well, it was my impression that they said that they were fine with not being on the road, and that it was more of a safety
No.
concern by the.
No, they would like to stay on Old 41, and the agreement is for the road to be closed. But we also met with the Lee County Sheriff's Office to see what the recommendation would be for public safety. And that is what it is stated in the green sheet for the recommendation from the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I like that towards this. What you've drawn out there, Mike, is what was envisioned a long time ago, a decade or so ago, as what was called the parade route. And the reason it was designed like that was that the area that you've squared there is called the walkable downtown area. And so that was purposely done to where when there were special events, that would be where the traffic would be rerouted. This has been anticipated, like I said, for a decade or more, that is exactly what it was. I think it was RMK or whoever was one of the first designers to come up with this thing. And so that was the vision. The vision was to do that. It was for safety purposes. It was for all of that. And it was so that people could get out and mingle and enjoy those areas. Not all the time, but, periodically. And I can testify to this, that staff has worked tirelessly over the last few years on this particular issue between the Art League, between Al and his businesses, and trying to find some kind of compromise, trying to make everyone happy in this deal here, and there just hasn't seemed to been. I mean, it took us a while to get to the point where we're even at it right now. I don't know that there's any solution to the I'm losing $50,000 because of this right here, but I think that overall. I think this is what we have. We have a 5-year agreement with these individuals, and I think we're lucky to have it. And I think this is where we've been building to. And for us to do anything else, Mike, I think is going backwards.
Well, I still have the safety concern. The majority of the parking is on the other side of the traffic still. There are other areas that they could move the tents off the road. The Depot Park's available. There's that land in front of Napa. I believe there are other solutions that could be done and keep the road open in a safe manner. And, I also, the art show, all the artists, they're basically businesses. So we're kind of taking money from one business to give to another business. And, I feel that's part of the Fifth Amendment's takings clause. So
Okay, Steve.
Don't want to see any issues there.
Stephen.
Mike, with all due respect, I'm also aware of the previous discussions that took place, and as a liaison to our community policing unit, I know these guys, and if it could be done, they would allow it to happen. But when they say safety, it's safety, and I trust them, and I'm going to have to support against this.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Carl.
I want to kind of echo the mayor's comments with regards to staff efforts. Today, it's not new that the council would like for us to have the art festival in place and keep Old 41 open. We understood if that was possible, we were going to get there. Unfortunately, after significant discussions with the applicant and with the sheriff's department, this is just one of those things where giving staff additional time to work it out, absent an absolute directive from council that we will not close the road, we have not been able to come up with a solution other than what's presented, which is the road closed. And again, a lot of that is weighted upon the sheriff's department's comments about public safety.
And it's just the very nature of the art, rather than a festival where everybody kind of comes in more or less the same time, you've got people coming and going from the art festival continually.
That's a good point, Mayor. I mean, when we hold a one-day event, and let's just say it's July 4th, and everybody's showing up for the fireworks, and you got 10,000 people in the area, that's significantly different than spreading that same number of people over 2 days.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments?
The art show used to be held at the Promenade, and a lot of people would park in the Publix Rural King parking lot across the street. Nobody closed down 41 then. There was an officer there that would help people cross at the light. So I don't see how that's any different than this.
I'm pretty sure it's a lot different, but anyway, let's get some more people invited to the party here. Bill?
I guess the question I have,
I'll come back to you soon.
there's still access to the businesses, correct? They allow cars to come into your place of business?
From the north side, it's more visible.
Side.
Coming from the south side.
But,
it's
but
not
there
as
is
evident.
access those 2 days to the businesses.
Yes.
The most important thing to consider is we have to make the safety issue is the reason why the sheriff's department has decided that that's the way it's set now. And the reason for that is all we have to do is have one wild car doing or hitting somebody, and that's why it has to be closed. It's strictly about safety. And if you don't do that with all those people, because not everybody is always looking where they're going, and it can be very serious. So that's the reason why the closing. I understand your business, but there's still access to the business, which is good, because your regular customers can still get there. And the idea that there's a possibility that you're going to gain more from it because there's going to be more availability of people seeing all that great bike shop, the great bait place, that's a very, very positive thing. So I happen to think that if there was no access, that would be different for me. But I'm going to support what's about we're going to vote on, and only because, and it's all about safety for me. I have too much long-term experience with lack of safety happening when somebody tells you that you can't do something. But the idea that the sheriff's department has done a thorough analysis, and I'm sure that they would not, they don't want to have to close it either, but they know from a safety perspective, and we have to protect all citizens, not just some of them.
Okay, and the motion on the floor is to defer the decision, not to go ahead and be supportive of the way it is now. I want to make that clear. Stephen?
I think I see where this is going, but let me just make a couple things, comments. First of all, to the Art League people being here, thank you, and I thank you for the social responsibility you've taken on that apparently our school systems can't. And if it wasn't for a huge amount of this money going to scholarships for children to understand how valuable art is in the future, I wouldn't be as supportive as I am of the Art League. So thank you for that. And please rest assured, I think from the comments on council, this is not about abolishing the festival downtown. That's not about this at all. So you can sleep at night again. The second thing is, I guess a contract's a contract. For me, if we've had a contract, we got a contract. And it's, I'm going to give you Barry and Susan a couple minutes, but if you took the vendors out of the middle of, off the streets and did this sort of thing, there's going to be a loss of revenue for the Art League as well. I don't know how you compare that to the loss of the businesses, and I'm not going to ask you to try to make an estimate at this point. But I think we can take everything together, and I have to tell you, Michael, this is a pretty compelling map. I appreciate the time you put into this. It shows once again how bright you are and how much you bring to this council. But I think that in the long run, we need to leave it the way it is. If there's a long-term answer to this, I think the sheriff's department's going to have it. But let's not mess with it at the moment. So, please, thank you.
And
yes,
I still have safety concerns. The majority of the parking is on the other side of the traffic. How are we going to address the people crossing that traffic?
I think that would be something that we would work with the sheriff's office to do, and could contact you and let you know the plan for the other areas, as well as anything that we can do to help assist the businesses to make sure that that your clientele does know the festivals are happening, that the roads, their access is available, and anything else that you may think would be beneficial to your clients.
I think another probably a good idea to, if we carry on doing this the way we've been doing it, which I would be in favor of doing, would be to have this Small Business Development Council to work with these businesses to help them, look, is there a way that we can take advantage of this? Is this a better way that we can get the people to understand where you're at. Are you missing some opportunities? That's their job, is to do things like that. And I think that we should go ahead and have them work with the community, get some business minds behind there. And I think we can turn this, what's perceived as a negative and what may certainly be a negative, as a positive. So, yes, Carl.
Mr. Mayor, and I want to reiterate too, the efforts that staff has made, especially earlier this year when the festival still first came, January, February, March. Your staff was making decisions on the ground, on site, as issues came up as best we could. I will tell you that I personally authorized signs to be placed so that directions were there. People understood what businesses were in the location. I suspect those signs are probably in violation of our sign code, but you know what? I think under this particular circumstance, that it was the appropriate thing to do. It will continue to be the appropriate thing to do. And I would also encourage all those businesses, should you decide to continue the closures, I would encourage those businesses to display items out in front. That violates our codes too, but I think under these circumstances, they have an opportunity, and we would want to see them use that opportunity fully.
Yes.
And we
Okay.
would be fine with that, so.
Okay.
I
Yes.
just- yeah,
Yes,
I-
Pete.
you know, it sounds like, and you guys have done a lot of work on this. I mean, there's no two ways about that. But I do hear there are a couple of questions still to be resolved about the parking on the other side of the street. This isn't about, you know, in my mind, this isn't about altering the art fair all that much, but somewhat, and keeping kind of the backbone of some businesses downtown happy. I don't see any problem with coming back with these answers for the parking across the street and just, I know we've looked at a lot of things. Have we exhausted everything? I'm not so sure about that. So I don't see the problem in spending some more time on this. To look.
I think exhausted is pretty much the word, but yeah, but
We're welcome. We would go back, if that's what council's pleasure is, for us to go back and review all the items again, we will. But I can assure you that we have met many times with all of the parties involved to try to come up with the best solution for everyone involved. If you have any questions about parking or the pedestrian safety for what the parking areas that you've indicated on the map are, Lieutenant Prespaluski could speak to you about what he's seen with the experience of last year. Right now, if you prefer.
right, and there's a track record here. Have there been any problems?
Mr. Mayor and Council, we've looked at this. And where these parking areas are in the green, it's shot across, like in that top right-hand corner. Once you get in there, you're inside the red. That's the blocked off area anyways. I understand Mike, where you're coming from, where it's a residential area. It's a whole different area of Old 41. When we have people coming down there, like Bill said, all I need is one car to come down there and take out a bunch of people, and it's not on my watch.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
We've looked at every way, and this is the best possible way for public safety, for everybody that's involved, pedestrians, the people that are at the fair, the people who are attending the fair, and the community itself, because we still have people that are in the community on foot or on bicycles. This is the best possible route.
Well, my concern is that they're still crossing the same traffic they would have on Old 41, but they're doing it on smaller streets that don't have crosswalks on them. So they are getting to a section where it is inside that's blocked off and there's no traffic, but they have to cross that same traffic to get to that.
What we saw last year was a huge amount of people on the Old 41 corridor just moving across the roadways. That's what we seen. That's what we watched. We tried, that's why we took the stop sign. We put bags over the stop signs on the back of Feltz to keep that moving a lot faster and had it blocked off back there. That's to move that traffic so it wasn't getting standstill.
All right. I think Mike's point is that if what's the difference between the pedestrians crossing Old 41 or crossing Feltz up there, and I think that probably what the officer is getting to is that Feltz being a residential street, the traffic goes really slow. It's a whole different kind of dynamic, I would suppose. So, anyway, I mean, you understand that Mike's saying, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. But it's still the Sheriff's Department's preference. And of course, on Old 41, it's going to be, even if it's going to be in close proximity. Old 41 is in close proximity to what's going on, no matter where you move it, right? The venue itself.
Yes,
Yeah, is in close proximity to where people are wandering around. Okay. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I would guess that even if this motion doesn't pass to hold it off, Captain Day and the sheriff have gotten the message that there's got to be a look at the cross streets and the pedestrian and the residential area, just to make sure that those safety issues are addressed. I guess that's going to go forward.
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about it right now, the parking areas that we have right now. If I have to designate a deputy right at that parking area to help that people sporadically get across one roadway in a residential area, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and plus, don't ever think that this conversation is going to ever end. It's not. It's not ever going to end. And the more successful we become in the downtown area and the more people we have parking, it's going to be people are parking on my driveway, people are parking on the grass, people are driving the wrong way down the street. There's always going to be a challenge here. We've always known that. But like I said, I know it's from Mike and Al's standpoint, these aren't happy things, but from the city standpoint, these are signs of success, unbelievably. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor, and the motion is to defer this decision. So an aye vote would be to defer the decision. A nay vote would be to not do that, and then there will have to be a subsequent motion possibly after that. So does everybody understand the motion? All right, roll call.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
No.
Councilman McIntosh?
No.
Councilman Slakta?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
No.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Okay, the motion's been put down. Is there another motion? Is there a motion to approve the
Motion to
item?
approve the item.
There's a motion to approve the
Second.
item, and there's a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
No.
Councilman Gibson?
No.
And Laura, I'm sure we will, and I'm sure the Art League will, but please continue to try to work with them, and let's get the Small Business Development Council. I'm not kidding about that. Let's get them involved with it and offer any help and assistance that we can, okay? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Okay, that was all the consent items, right?
Yep.
I don't know why after that, I don't know why they call it that. but-
There's 10 more.
All right, we are to,
Yeah, there you go.
we are to public hearing. Audrey, are you ready?
Yes, I am. We have a resolution before you to declare City Council's notice of intent to declare a zoning in progress to modify the sign code from an outdated suburban traditional model or the existing one, to a sign code utilizing placemaking signs destination oriented. If City Council approves this, it is not a moratorium, but what it does require is that it puts all applicants on notice that we are modifying the existing laws. We don't intend to issue permits that do not conform with what the proposed changes are. If an applicant wants to go in, they are at risk per the resolution, and they're given notice of that. It will be advertised in the next available news press, Fort Myers News Press, that we are doing so if City Council does adopt it. It is a public hearing. Jay Sweet can explain the details as to the changes proposed by staff. And if you have questions as to the process from a legal standpoint, I'll be happy to address them.
Well, and I just want to, this is going to be a process that you go through, that you're going to work with all these, all the companies, all the people who are worried about it, the chamber, whoever might come along there. Jay, come on up. That is the process. This just kind of opens the door and kind of sets the table for it and puts everybody on notice that, hey, by the way, we are going to be making some modifications. Right?
Yes, Mayor. As a matter of fact, for the record, Jay Sweet, Community Development. We've already had a meeting with the chamber, explained to them the overall view of what we're trying to do with the sign code. I'm prepared to give you a brief description if you want, but this will go through the hearing process. We have noticed several community groups. We've already been getting emails, some of them constructive, some of them not understanding what we're doing, but it gives us an opportunity to explain it to them. We have also had 2 meetings. We have called in to community development. the major sign contractors. We went through who gets the most permits, asked them to be involved. We've had 4 of them come in and want to be involved in the process. One of the local sign contractors actually had us at his shop and gave us a tour to explain to him how he makes his signs, what his materials are, the constraints if we put certain things that would affect his business. And we've looked at those things and are trying to be sensitive as we draft this to all those concerns.
Okay, good. Any questions? Mike, what you got?
Yeah, well, I'm happy that we're taking a look at the sign ordinance and, looking forward to working with everybody on that. But in the meantime, I don't support the zoning in progress resolution. I feel it sends a message to businesses that you can't do anything for 90 days. If somebody's just opening a business right now, a sign makes a big difference for a business. And if you're not allowed to put a sign up for 90 days while we're deciding on what the new rules are going to be, we have current rules on the books. I believe they should apply until we come up with new rules.
Wait, why don't you explain the process? I'm going to come in there and I want to put a new sign up, or I'm starting a business. What happens?
With zoning in progress, and let me take a 41 example, probably the most extreme change in the sign code of what would happen. Currently, on US 41, you can get up to a 24-foot high sign, and it has to be set 15 feet back from the right-of-way. And one of the things that we've looked at in preparing this ordinance is, let's look at a holistic approach to this. We want signs to be placemakers, not just a bunch of menu boards. And we're putting signs back by code behind trees that when the trees grow up, the trees block the sign. And that's been an issue that people want to come in and trim the trees, either top them off or cut them at the bottom, or some people just go out and cut them out. And we've had code enforcement issues with that because it blocks the sign. So we are proposing, one of the things we do is reducing the height of the sign to 8 feet above grade, and we define grade very specifically so we don't have the billboard in the ditch problem, which we're all aware of. So that can't happen. And we've allowed them to push the sign all the way to the right-of-way line, as long as they meet certain site triangles for safety. This gives the business an opportunity to see the sign, people to see the sign better and not be hidden by landscaping. Actually, landscaping can be used to attract your eye to the sign. So this would be probably one of the biggest changes. Under the zoning in progress, they couldn't come in and get the 24-foot sign, but they could come in and get the sign up against the right-of-way. They would be told that they are doing that at risk, that if the council chose not to do that, that would become a non-conforming sign, and it would be then subject to the non-conforming portions of the sign code, which if you abandon it or you don't maintain it, they eventually could go away. That's the most dramatic portion of it. The other thing is that when it comes to signs on buildings, we're actually proposing an increase in size, and it wouldn't be changing except for they could actually have a bigger sign. Because they could build a smaller sign on the building. It doesn't prevent them from having a sign. In other words, we're saying that right now 10% of your face of the building, there's a calculation that gives you the sign area. As part of our proposals, because we're having the placemaking signs within these megaliths out front, that you get a bigger sign on the face of your building inside the shopping center to compensate for that. They would have the choice of either coming in, nothing says you have to build the maximum. They could come in and they could have that sign at the minimum. The other thing in new business, we already have a provision in the code, and it's in the proposed, it hasn't changed, for a 60-day sign, business announcement sign, that you can come in. And one of the reasons we have that is sometimes people open up a business and their sign's simply not ready. The sign company's busy, they can't get it. We have that provision, they can come in and they can put a temporary sign up for 60 days or until the permanent sign comes if it comes quicker. So there's plenty of opportunities in here for the businesses to have signs now, and it's clearly not a moratorium. We're not saying you can't have the sign. What we don't want to do when we propose is zoning in progress, the purpose is we don't want to lead somebody down the primrose path. We don't want to send somebody down a path that hurts them ultimately. And so what we want to do is we want to say, hey guys, here's this code. We're getting ready to adopt it. We're not going to let you build it under the old, because then automatically you have something that's non-conforming, and from day one you'll have problems. Here's the new code. Take a look at it. If this zoning progress, you can judge accordingly what the best method is, and they're fully informed, and they can make those decisions. So
Well,
that's
probably
where
closer to
the
the truth is that the reason that you wouldn't let them apply for this kind of sign that they usually do is because before they build it, it will become illegal to put that kind of sign up. Is that the reason for the resolution?
Or maybe the next week.
Or the next week, or whatever.
And
it is.
then a hurricane comes through and it gets damaged, and they can't have it, and they've wasted all that money.
And the resolution does protect them, though, if we don't adopt it and they end up building it to the proposed code, it does protect them from
Yes.
us saying, oh, well, you built something you're not supposed to. Well,
Right.
that's what it does. So, Mike, do you have any other questions for him while he's up here?
Well, I still don't see why you can't just enforce the rules that are on the books until you pass new rules. It'd be like the Florida legislature not, saying we're going to look at new requirements for driver's license and say we're not going to issue driver's licenses for 90 days. I just believe you should follow the rules that are on the books until you change those rules.
Okay, thank you. Let me come to Steve and now come back to Audrey.
Help me out. In terms of the racetrack, where do they fall? Since they're opening soon.
They're all permitted.
They're all permitted.
As a matter of fact, they have their CO. Why they're not open is their own internal issue right now. They've actually are authorized to open.
Okay.
Yeah, Audrey?
Just 2 points. The special occasion signs, the feather and blade signs that have always been a question is something that staff is proposing. So there are some special occasion signs that are new and increases visibility for businesses. As to the principle of the zoning in progress, I think most businesses would rather know that something could be affecting them before they go and make an expenditure. The last thing you want is the situation where you do have people being able to argue equitable estoppel, because at that point, it makes two people unhappy. It makes the government people unhappy, it makes the neighbors unhappy, it makes the business unhappy. So zoning in progress, in my opinion, gives a clean approach where people see what staff is contemplating. There is some risk involved for the 90 days, and that's the reason why it's a short duration. It is not a taking. It does not apply to Burt Harris because of its temporary nature. So I think it's a better, cleaner way for people and transparent way for people to see what's going on.
Okay. All right. Now, is there public hearing on this particular?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Any other comment? Yeah, Bill.
I found out about this last Friday on the sheet. Have an email from the owner of 2 McDonald's restaurants here that came in on the 19th. I happen to think that it's the business community should have the opportunity to speak before we pass, even though this is a resolution, but it's after the resolution, then you adopt. I think it's too fast, and especially when I have an owner. We all got this in reference to.
I didn't. Yeah.
Okay, well, we were all copied on the 19th. And I just think it's too quick, and we need to allow the business community to be able to come here and voice their opinions or how that will impact their business before we jump to this. I don't support a resolution to move this forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other discussion before we go to public comment? Do you have something, Carl?
You saw that look on my face, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, just so the council's aware that we have reached out, as Jay indicated, to the Chamber of Commerce. Actually, they're talking, as a part of public outreach on this issue, they're talking about holding a forum on this topic for their members, and of course, I assume any business in Bonita Springs. So we are outreaching to folks because we do want to hear what they've got to say. We want to craft an ordinance that makes sense for the city long term, as well as our businesses. So we're willing to take the time that's necessary. This does not have to be on the fast track. We're willing to listen to folks. We're interested in their input.
Okay. All right. Let's go to public comment at this time. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please come forward.
Good morning again. Christine Ross with the Bonita Springs Area Chamber of Commerce. We have scheduled a forum for September 4th at 4 p.m. It will be open to the public, and we will have it at the Chamber of Commerce, and we will have staff doing a presentation from Community Development on all of the details of their proposal. We also will be sending this out multiple times to our members, asking them for feedback and comment, which we will then pass along as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
I get the email now.
I just got the email now. Again, Jeffrey Saffield representing Mr. Adams and McDonald's. Again, thank you for the consideration of the delaying of this decision. And again, McDonald's would definitely like to offer their support of assisting staff. You know, they're a national retailer. Mike Adams locally owns 2 businesses within the city and several other McDonald's in the area. And being a national brand, they may be able to bring some perspective to national retailers. You know, their brand, their logos, those are easily recognizable, and they're very important to protect those logos. They've spent a lot of money, not just McDonald's, but other national retailers. And seeing those logos, you know, a lot. I'm probably not the only one, but by my girth, you can tell. I could drive down the road, not even hungry. I see the golden arches. I want French fries, and those kind of impulse.
And you're trying to talk us out of this, right?
Yeah, those type of impulse purchases are very important to that type of quick service restaurant, gas station. You know, convenience and those items are very important. So, just like to offer up, in particular, McDonald's and Mr. Adams to provide input with staff while they're working this process out. Thank you.
Good. My first time for me. It's pitch for spontaneous consumerism. I'm writing it down. Date and time. Any other person would like to come up forward and speak on this subject, please come forward. No? Okay, Audrey, what do you got?
I just want to make sure there's 2 different things in play. One is there's the zoning in progress. If the zoning in progress is not approved, and that's perfectly fine if that's council's choice, the permission to advertise for September 17th and October 1st, or would you want another draft to come before you so we have additional delays? We could do it both ways.
Well, I don't know if we've come to a consensus of whichever.
I understand. I just want to make sure it's not, that the discussion is not over if the zoning in progress does not go forward.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it won't be. Anyway, and I don't think, Council, you don't have any objection to relooking at the sign ordinance. I mean, I don't think anybody is objecting to that. The main objection that has been articulated from the left over here, well, that was wrong, wasn't it? The left side of me over, that was even wrong.
That's hard too.
I'm sorry. Was that this resolution itself, whether it's needed or not? And now, could you just briefly articulate, if we don't do the resolution and we start crafting this ordinance anyway, what would that be like? What are the consequences of that?
The consequences are that there could be some signs where there's a race to the permit application process. So what you're sending as a message is staff should be allowing anything meeting the existing ordinance, not the intended changes. And in that event, there may be some sign permits that will be issued that will not be consistent, that possibly if city council goes forward and adopts an ordinance, will be found non-conforming right away, which non-conforming means it's allowed to exist unless it gets damaged or it doesn't meet the terms of the sign ordinance, meaning that you will have that sign and other people might not, but it becomes kind of a race situation. And that could go as to colors, it could go as to size, a few other changes within the ordinance.
Could you come up to my, thank you, sorry. Is there anything in the ordinance that proposes that would interfere with what the gentleman representing McDonald's had talked about, their logo, change of colors, anything like that? I mean, does it really go into that much?
We do have a proposal that has come forward to limit the use of primary colors on monument signs only. Not on the building, but on monument signs. And the proposal, and let me go back 2 steps, we already do that in the old 41 corridor.
Right.
There's already a limitation on primary colors. This actually is more liberal than that. We allow, the way it's drafted, would allow one primary color, and then other colors, there's a method to mute the tone. For instance, let's take McDonald's as an example. They're very common with two primary colors, yellow and red, okay? And in other communities, you will see this also. If they allow one primary color, maybe the arches are still the bright yellow, but it's more of a burgundy or maroon than a bright red. That would be a possibility. There's been a lot of debate that's gone back, pro and con, on that particular issue. It's one of the reasons it's not on the building, but only on the placemaking sign. And that's one of the things that may change, I think, as we go through this process, as we get more and more input. I don't think from our discussions with the sign contractors particularly, and on our discussions with some of the other business owners, that necessarily, nobody ever likes change, but I think a lot of them see the purpose and the reasoning behind some of the locational and size of sign changes for monuments, differently than they do that color issue. So the color issue could be the one issue that would affect them. Everything else, I don't think that they would find the change any different than any other business.
Okay, good.
Jay,
Audrey?
just asking Jay a question, because we're talking about the golden arches, which I presume gold will treat as yellow for purposes of primary color. The golden arches are not a background. Isn't the prohibition on the background portion
background.
of the monument? So the golden arches will remain. The sign or the proposal by staff doesn't affect, since McDonald's is our party here, the golden arches. It would the background to the golden arches.
Right. The restriction is on the primary colors to the background of the sign.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions while it's up there? Or staff, do you have anything else?
Just a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
If, excuse me, our processes are designed to allow enough time for people to make comments. In your opinion, City Manager, if this thing passes today, does it give the people and the public and the business community enough time to come in and massage the ordinance with our city staff if we go ahead today?
Well, I think if you go ahead today, there is enough time. There is something to be said about having somewhat of a deadline, so people will actually come in and we can all engage as concisely as we can. But certainly we will be advertising first and second reads. However, the council, as you know from your experience, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take action on those particular days. You can take public input on those days, but you can defer a vote on it for an indefinite amount of time at your pleasure. Probably heading into the legal area here. So bottom line is, we're not looking to rush this. If you put the public on notice with this today, to try to protect them from actually the current rules that may get changed, then we still will be engaging the community on this because we want to hear from everyone.
Thank you. And second point, to Commissioner Generalis's comments earlier, I think the Beaufort, South Carolina area has adopted a sign ordinance that's probably more restricted than this, and I don't think anybody's missed that McDonald's. If no, just my
I don't think
guess is-
anybody's missed a McDonald's in a long time.
Well, I know you probably haven't, but I know that.
Thanks a lot. Does it show that much?
Hey,
I thought I carried it rather well.
it's the Cheetos that are getting you ready.
I'm sorry. Okay, Council, what's your pleasure? Is there a motion? Our public hearing's over with, and we can either adopt this resolution or we cannot adopt it. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Make the motion to adopt.
And I'll second that motion. It says for purpose of discussion. Any other discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and call the question.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
No.
Councilman Gibson?
No.
Councilman Longcart?
No.
Okay, Council, do you wish the staff to go ahead and proceed with the redoing the ordinance, the sign ordinance?
I'll make that motion as well.
We'll make the motion to proceed with the process of the sign ordinance without the resolution,
That's my
zoning in
motion.
progress.
That's my motion.
And I second the motion. Any other discussion?
Provided that there's enough time for businesses to have a say in the new laws and
Right.
and be heard.
Absolutely.
Then yes.
Yep, okay. Roll call.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Longcor?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Okay, good. Staff, you need anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay, good. Let's go to public comment at this time. Anyone wishing to speak on any item, please come forward. Any city item.
Can I take a second shot?
You can at that.
Thanks a lot. Listen, I won't bore you with all the details of my past, as I did at the outset. I will tell you this. The community that I came from and have moved here from parallels this area dramatically. For the period of 1990 through 2000, the little community I lived in was the fastest growing in the United States. We had infrastructure needs just as you do here. We went through one study after another, provided with funds from the federal government, in the process of trying to make sure that we didn't choke the tourism that went to Hilton Head, which provides 10% of every tourist dollar in the state of South Carolina. We had multiple squadrons move to the Beaufort Marine Corps Air Station, both Navy and Marine. The traffic issues were significant. That county has 380 islands, all connected by roads. There is no mainland. We are not so different here. We have the same problems. For the life of me, gentlemen, I can't imagine that we would have ever stared at a $1 million grant to do a study on a road that mandates by the federal government that one of the options that was included was a flyover. We dealt with that. We had that on the road 278 going to Hilton Head. If you've ever driven it, can you imagine the flyovers there? We had to study it. It was part of the plan. And the fact that we did study it was what caused those never to occur. The public got a chance to see what a flyover would have done, how it would have impacted the low country of South Carolina and removed the views that they were used to, blocked trees, impacted the plantations and the gated communities along the roadway. We had one flyover built in the entire time I lived there, at the far north end of the county, where it was needed in a rural area to stop delivery trucks from killing people. That was on US 17. Again, another federal study. Take the $1 million, guys. This is infrastructure. 10 years from now, this population is going to explode. 10,000 Americans are turning 65 every single day for the next 10 years. They're not staying in Cleveland or in Milwaukee or New York. They're coming here. So whether we plan the road down here or we don't is really going to have an impact on the quality of life for everybody here. Don't be the guys who turn down $1 million to study how to improve this and make sure that it's taken care of. The flyover is mandated. It's included in every federal study. It doesn't mean you go forward with it. Take advantage. Be the participant in here. Take the money and get the study done properly so 10 years from now, we don't choke the area. You've got that opportunity. I'd encourage you to rethink this whole thing and go back and review it. You don't have to have flyovers. I can guarantee you. We went through that process. We turn them down every time. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Morning, Council. Gary Price. I've waited 40 years to say I'm a voter and a taxpayer, so I missed that the first time. I think what's happened here is council is overlooked the unforeseen and unintended consequences. And they are, number one, you're giving up your leadership role on what happens in that intersection. Beach Road is a county road, US 41 is a state road. What will happen will ultimately be up to the county and the state. You're going to have no say-so or very little say-so because you've opposed the study. The second unintended consequence is that you're going to lose the possibility of having incremental improvements that could ensure that the overpass is not necessary. Now, you've already lost 2 incremental improvements. One is 951, which is going to add greatly to the interchange of Beach Road and I-75. And the second one is the potential interchange at Coconut and I-75. You've lost those 2. There are many, many incremental improvements that will happen and could happen over the next 20 years that you would have some control over and say so as it involves Bonita Springs, that you're giving up the opportunity to study in this $1 million study. So I urge you to reconsider your decision. Nobody wants an overpass, but due to its impact and visibility. And the state doesn't want an overpass because its cost. Current dollars is $45 million. $20 years from now, it could be, $100 million. So nobody wants an overpass. The county doesn't want it, the state doesn't want it, you obviously don't want it. But there are a lot of other things that could get in the way and ensure that you don't have an overpass. You're giving up the opportunity to participate in those discussions. So I urge you to reconsider your decision and go forward with the study and let the study tell you what those incremental improvements are. You can look at them at a case-by-case basis and determine whether those are satisfactory. But to do nothing is in fact going to lead you to end up with probably an overpass that nobody wants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Bob Lombardo, and I don't have the credentials of Mr. Generalis or Mr. Price. I'm just a resident of Bonita Springs. I've been a property owner here for about 24 years, moved here 8 years ago, live here full time. I am a business owner. I use my vehicle for my business most of the time. I use the roads of Bonita Springs. I use the roads of Fort Myers and of Naples primarily. When I saw the improvement that took place over the last 10 years on Beach Road and also on 41, it encouraged me to move here. It helped me make the decision that this is a thriving community and a community I wanted to live here full time and start a business. Being on the roads and having the luxury of the widened roads has made a huge improvement in being able to move around this city. Having said that, that's not the reason why I'm here. The reason why I'm here is just logic. I've read a lot about the decision to not go forward with the study. And although I respect everybody on the council, and a couple of you are my friends, I have not seen a reasonable downside to doing the study. I'm sure there may be a downside, but I have not seen one. And I think I'm a logical thinker. As I said, I don't have the credentials of Mr. Generalis or Mr. Price, but their credentials are significant, as you all know. Economic growth of this community is something we talked about on just about every subject here was about economic growth. By turning down a study that can enhance our community and help create economic growth and alleviate a future issue that can choke us because of the expansion that we expect, just makes absolutely no sense to this citizen. So having said that, I implore council, if that's possible, to reconsider this and vote to have this study done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time, please come forward. Hey.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Adam Botana from Baywater. First of all, I want to thank everybody for helping my family's business grow over the last few years, and the city council help out with the boat parade. It's December 13th, second Saturday of December. Remember that. As my family's business is on Beach Road, I just asked that the council reconsider the study, the P&E study. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See, anyone else this time? Please come forward on any city item. Seeing none, public comments over, and here we go. City Attorney's report. Audrey, what do you got for us?
Thank you. I have one item, and as requested by Councilmember Gibson, there is a professional services agreement that was prepared with Southwest Florida Regional Planning Council for the Spring Creek Restoration Plan. When it came in, there are some irregularities. First of all, if I had my druthers, I would rather this be an interlocal agreement between two governmental agencies. However, they brought us a professional signed agreement, and that can be approved because, again, it would take time to go and discuss an interlocal agreement. There are some irregularities. First of all, council has heard me say this during the Water Strategy Task Force. Under statute with the CCNA, you are not supposed to go over $35,000 without going to competitive selection. This is a process where you are giving it to an entity, even though it's a governmental entity. But I think you can waive that based on time sensitivity of the study, the critical need of going forward if council feels that it's an emergency. There are some other things in the agreement that's attached. First of all, they don't have necessarily all of the insurance, but again, they have sovereign immunity, so they're probably okay without that insurance. Again, this is a council call as to whether. And then the other concern is there are different deliverables addressed on, they don't have page numbers, but if you pull it in towards the back, the Spring Creek Restoration Plan and the description of the tasks, if you're satisfied with that and understanding it's a $50,000 study, payable at 2 deliverables, one deliverable at task 5 in the 5th month, and the other one in the 13th month of them proceeding forward.
Okay, council, any discussion? Questions?
Move to approve?
We have okay, let's go ahead. You have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Let me ask you, is one of the first steps, do we need to officially waive the competitive negotiations?
Yes, by approving the agreement, you are waiving the.
But that doesn't need to be a separate motion?
No, I think it'd be the same motion, that you're waiving not just the 287,055, $35,000 milestone and awarding it to this governmental entity to serve as your consultant under the CCNA. And I had some difficulties weighing the applicability of the CCNA, so I didn't see that as a major issue. But I did see as a more major issue, again, it's a planning study. They do not have what we normally would require consultants to carry for automobile liability and workers' compensation, and they do not have professional liability coverage. But so, I mean, as long as you understand, if there's a contractual problem and you think somebody did not go to the standards of professional skills, we cannot ask them to have a carrier cover it because they don't have a carrier.
So, and generally in
It's
these,
not a design
generally in these
study,
contracts,
so-
you would have a hold harmless agreement and so on and so forth, and.
There's a hold harmless, and they signed the hold harmless. I mean, so it's in the professional services agreement. It's more of a risk if they were designing. I mean, they're gonna give recommendations, and then I would presume after recommendations, Public Works would then get somebody to design anything while they're going through permitting process.
Okay, all right, good. Any, council? Any other comments? You okay? All right, roll call, please.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcor.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Okay, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, city manager's report, we are up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a presentation of the financial reports and the quarterly financial reports that we've submitted with the packet. If you have any questions, we're standing by. I say we because Lisa's in the room.
Yeah.
Right? Lisa's in the room. Good.
Everyone good?
Okay.
I do have a
no
Hold on one second.
questions? Okay.
Thank-
I
go ahead,
have a
Bob, or
question
Bill.
for Lisa.
Lisa, come up.
I don't usually do this. Just one, though, I promise. Be short.
It's a test.
Page 3 of 5, can you explain to me the dramatic increase in the gas tax funds over the previous year? It's a large number, and normally it's a gradual thing. It's not something that goes up so far.
Yes.
It went from $1,990,000 to $3,004,000 so far this year. That's dramatic. It's a good thing, but, you know.
That is a good thing. It's probably a combination of two things. Of course, we would need to research it to confirm it, but I'm pretty sure these are accurate. A combination of our revenue coming in, it was a little higher than prior year, wouldn't account for that significant of an amount. However, at the same time, we have not been expending the gas taxes as we had in the past. Over the last couple of years, we've used fairly significant amount of gas tax for road capital projects, things of that nature, and I think this is a reflection of a timing of the road capital projects, because in the prior year, we utilized some of this money to fund Shangri-La and some of the other projects that we've had. So this year, what you're seeing are the 12 months that you're seeing reflected here. It's a timing of us, and actually we're going to be accumulating these gas tax that we haven't spent for future projects. We have $1 million of this money earmarked for downtown redevelopment, the total $16 million. That's $1 million sitting there. And then we have some other of those gas tax earmarked for various other capital projects in your capital improvement plan. So I think it's a combination of a couple things.
Thank you very much. That's it.
Good?
Okay.
Great.
Anyone
Thank you
else have
very
any
much.
questions? Thank you very much.
Great.
Yes, Carl.
The second item, B, is a review of the draft RFP for solicitation for the development of the bamboo parcel. We've heard a little bit about that today. Of course, this has been on the council's directives for a little bit here. We have assembled this proposed solicitation for your review and approval today. Should we get approval to go ahead, we will put this out on the street and see what market interest there is in developing that piece of property. I think Mr. Price was accurate, right on spot when he talked about the fact that, and council knows this, that because we are owners of the property, we will have control far beyond what we normally have for development in the city. And so that's going to be an extra layer of control and influence that we'll have as we look to the future development of this property. So we stand ready for any questions you have, and we are looking for an approval of this so we can move it on to the market if the council so pleases.
Okay, can you, just for the benefit of the public and people who don't have access to this or haven't accessed this, the process, I mean, so far as once we get all of these in, kind of explain what you anticipate to be the process so far as selection.
Well, the process is going to go much like we would look at for, well, I don't know, I may want to have Audrey take a shot at the process. But we would put it out on the market. We would allow the market to respond with specific proposals to develop the property, to build something there. They would provide in that not only what they would propose to build, the types of uses, perhaps even how it would be arranged on the site, but also any requirements they might have with regards to transfer of property. Are they looking to buy the property? Are they looking to lease the property from the city? Are they looking for a public-private partnership with regards to that? They'll be talking to us about, we would anticipate seeing proposals for not only retail, commercial, those kinds of things, but also whether they propose to have some office uses on there or even residential on there. And so that's the kinds of things we would be looking for. And as far as the balance of the process, Audrey?
Yes, okay. I was a little bit surprised here. First of all, I want to explain I have not finished my comments to staff yet on the process. But as I understand it, it will be similar to the selection process. It does not have to follow the CCNA. You know how I always get kind of crazy on 287-055. But it is a proposal process. It would come in the form of proposals. There would be deadlines for turning in the proposals. As I understand it, I believe staff was going to shortlist to either 3 or 4 and do kind of an initial ranking. And that, when I use the term staff, it's not married that staff has to be the people who are on the selection committee. It's probably wise to have at least 1 or 2, but you can have outside people, whether it's community people, obviously not a stakeholder who wants to put in for the proposal, they would be out, but you could have that, or even an individual council member. We would also possibly follow some other processes, and again, that we may talk a little bit more about that today later on, but it would be something where then it would go to council. Council would decide who should be the person, and then staff would negotiate. Now, the negotiation would probably utilize term sheets. So by that, there'd be kind of a skeletal, and once we had an idea that we're agreeing to something, because there's a lot of flexibility built into, and it's intended to have flexibility, and Arlene can talk about those issues, or Ms. Crespo, but there's that flexibility process. We would end up having something more concrete, and then council would either say yay or nay. If they said nay, we would possibly go to the second person unless council decided to reject all folks at that time if they wanted to do some other form. But that's what we call the term sheet. And then it would be, at that point, going through whatever processes we would need to make this a successful project. That might mean going through your zoning. I think the comprehensive plan, I hope there's no changes there. But possibly tweaking the zoning from 2009 when council modified the zoning on the property, changing it if it's needed to meet the terms of that term sheet.
Okay, you're a little too far into the process.
Okay,
Okay, so, but basically, I think one thing that I want to kind of to come out in this is that it's probably going to be contingent upon how many entities we get, you know,
Right.
and the quality of those applications. In other words, you could get 30 of them, but 25 of them could be just one page, yeah, we want to buy the property and take a good guess. So that's why you'd have this culling process, because it'd be like, obviously those don't even meet they don't meet any of the criteria. And then at the end of it all, if we find, and council, because we'll be privy to all this that comes in, if we find that there are 2 of them, because this has been such a long-awaited project, this particular piece of property, and there's so much concern, we would be able to say like, wow, you would say these are really the contenders here. Council, how would you like to go ahead and handle this? Like we've done, whether it's city manager selection or something like that. So that's possible as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I just wanted to go through that first. Okay?
And I like the sounds of that. I mean, you know, Carl, we've had this discussion recently, you know, have the staff look at it, get their thoughts, and then have the city council look at it and get their thoughts. And through that, I think that's a stronger process. Transparency and straightforwardness, and I think we'll, as a result of that, get the right organization there.
Okay. And like we'll towards your point, we'll have discussion about that later. And I want to differentiate that there are times when I think that's applicable and when it's not, but we'll have that conversation later. Okay?
Yeah,
Now,
may
Council, any more questions on this?
I
Yes.
do
Yes,
just
go
have a
ahead.
comment. That, you know, we have so many pieces out there being put together. We've got the new pieces around the church and Phelps Avenue. I keep coming back to the Wonder Gardens, our park system. I would hope that whoever is the winner of this bid that comes in with a project for us helps us recognize how we can fit it all together. Because to Councilman Grant's point earlier, we are eating up green space as we go, unintentionally a lot of times, but we need to have an overarching plan that looks at the 3 rivers through our city, that incorporates this piece of property, this work, into what we want as a walkable, bikeable downtown area. So I'd simply ask that when the RFP is put out, that it includes an overlay, an overview of what this city really wants to look like, green space pieces that we are kind of looking at separately now.
We probably would have a better shot at doing that with the firms that we are looking for the downtown improvements.
I understand.
This particular RFP is for this particular piece of property only and what they would like to do with it ultimately.
I get it.
Okay.
But I don't think you can separate the 2 RFPs and come out with a project that I think is a viable umbrella project. So I just ask that they recognize that there are other pieces going on in the city at the same time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, they'll be privy to all the information. You're going to give them
we
way
would do
more
that.
information they want to know about.
In fact, I would hope that they would be doing due diligence and we would be a part of that discussion with them.
Alrighty.
Absolutely.
And before we go any further with this, Audrey, it is true that this is one of those processes where the actual people interested in applying for this, they're not supposed to contact city council members and
I'm
make
going to
pitches in
check
this?
to make sure there's the anti-lobbyist provision in
So,
here.
yeah, you guys,
Again, I have not reviewed
beware. That could
Till
be
further notice.
yeah, it could be a possibility. I mean, you don't want to get caught in something like that. The best thing to do is to direct them to staff. If they have any questions about, you may get a call from somebody who says, yeah, we're interested in it, and tell me about what your vision, no. It's best to direct them to staff,
Right.
mainly because they,
If it is the desire of council to, and let's just get to this because we may need to put it in the RFP proposal here. If it is desire of council to meet the individual firms and to hear from them directly at any time during this process, we probably best know that now versus later. So, and I'm throwing that out because I know we're going to discuss this a little bit later, but with regards to this particular one, if it's council's desire to meet with the firms that it gets down to, we'd like to know that sooner than later. We might actually put it in the process so everybody understands what's coming.
And when you say meet with, Carl, do you mean
Well, I
like
mean,
one-on-one
in front of,
or
in
have
a,
them
no,
come
I'm
make a
talking about in
presentation?
a presentation in a meeting is what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
So, but that's, again, up to council, so.
yeah, I think in this specific case, I think that there's a distinct possibility that they may do that towards the end of it. I think that needs to be an option.
Right.
However, the only thing I was referring to is that one-on-one meetings, that needs to be out.
No,
Yes,
one-on-one
Because
meetings are not
that's
allowed.
the
Right.
path you don't
Yes.
want to go down.
But no,
Totally
so
agree.
we'll build it into the process that the council may well want to interview the firms and see
Okay.
them, a presentation in a council meeting, at least so we're upfront at the very beginning and everybody understands what to expect as we go.
Okay, yes,
Okay?
Mayor,
Steve,
when you said redirect to the staff, do you mean Carl?
Oh, sure, I mean, there'll be a contact person, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine, and then we'll get them to the right
Yeah,
person.
there you go.
Absolutely.
Well done. Okay, council, what's your pleasure? Do you want to go
Um,
ahead and put this forward?
Well, also, I had one question about.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Is everybody going to be aware that there is a 50-foot buffer from the river on this property when they're in the RFP?
From at the zoning?
Yeah.
Well, everyone will be made aware that what current zoning regulation is. That doesn't preclude them of saying, well, you know what, here's the design we propose, and we propose to be 25 feet away instead. And we need this and that. What you want to do, they could propose putting, I don't know, a helicopter landing port there if they want to. They can propose whatever they want.
But that would have to come before us to
But that'll
vote
have
on
to
that.
come before you, and so you'll have to say, well, yeah, we like this part, but you know what?
Right.
That's when you'll have that debate.
That's correct.
And then they can tell you, well, then it can't work. Or they can tell you, oh, yeah, we can do that. So that'll be the time to have that conversation.
And I would intend that during the negotiations, we'd also talk about the city having reservation of rights, declarations, and restrictions on the property, so that while we can agree to some changes during the course of the process, we should have some that are definite, cannot change. And that's a negotiated to make sure they understand before we actually put those restrictions on the property for the public good.
Yep. Okay. Council, what's your pleasure? Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
We have a motion
I'll
to
second it.
approve the draft RFP and to go ahead and send it out. And there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Lockhart?
Aye.
Ooh, look at me. I live to see the day. Look at there. All right.
And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are to.
Love is grand, isn't it?
It is grand. It is so nice. Mayor and council member items. The first one on the list here is discuss and direct staff on a strategy to promote the city of Bonita Springs as a location for additional high school seats in South Lee County. I'll go ahead and preface this with we've been speaking with some of the staff members on with the school board and with a couple of the school board directors there, and for the long and short of it, Christine's not here anymore, but Christine and I have sat down with them. I think, Carl, you've had some contact with them, and they are to a point where the need for a high school in Bonita Springs seems to be their highest strategic priority, although they don't have any money, which kind of hampers your strategic priorities sometimes. Isn't that weird? What I would do, and I just wanted to bring this to council's attention, that we've been having some talks with them and I wanted to make you aware of that. It looks really good. There are several places they project needs at, but the south area is the one that they're really concentrating on. That piece of property, as you know, that they own is the 40 acres on Bonita Grand, would be the site that they would be looking to do something on, to build the school on. We had some discussions in the past before that. There's no longer any indication that they want to build a bus barn or anything like that. So that was the big deal back then, which the council did not like. It wasn't a school. It was the bus barn that we freaked out about. But anyway, they are looking to do something a little bigger, so they may be interested in doing some type of partnership or acquiring other property. But anyway, I just want to bring it to your attention there. I think it's exciting for Bonita Springs. And as I told them, I said, you know what, I think the citizens of Bonita Springs can disagree on just about anything. I'm not sure this is one of them. About having a high school, Bonita Springs High School. How cool would that be?
Mayor, we're talking about a high school, not a charter school.
We're talking about a high school, public high school. Yep. So, but anyway, so I just want to bring that to your attention to see if you have any comments about it one way or the other.
Well, it's in the DRGR area, I believe, the 40 acres.
Yes, it
We're
is.
allowed to have schools
Isn't
in.
it? Yes, I think that needs consideration. And one of the things years ago when I was on the school board in New Jersey, we had a situation where we had a declining enrollment after it was up to 16,000 students at the time. And what normally, we have about 67 schools in the county, something like that, public schools. And normally when you say that there's an influx of, let's say, 1,000 children, it sounds like it comes off as a big number, but when you divide that among 67 schools, it's a very small number. So school boards are always faced with a situation that many of the people say, oh, we need to build more schools. One doesn't know that until you really get the statistical information, like I just mentioned, because schools are very expensive, probably $40 million for a high school. So I think we need to, I understand what you said, Ben. I agree that it would be wonderful to have a public high school here, but the need may not be as great as at least at this point. I haven't gotten as much information as you have, so I'm resident about that. I'm not convinced that that's a necessary thing because they haven't provided us with any information. Or maybe, are they going to do that?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean,
Sure that
you
that
need,
will
you need
come.
to have the school, there's always an increase in population in the growth area, but we have to see, personally, I have to look at it with all the information, not just that we'd like to have a high school. And then how about the charter high school? Wasn't that supposed to, is that going on, Carl? The charter, wasn't there a charter school by the
I can
Y?
update you.
By the Y, yes.
I'm on that committee.
Okay.
And it's moving forward. The capital campaign committee is formed, and it is on the books to be shovel-ready in the next year, so.
Wow, okay, that's good information. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
All about the high schools, whether they're public or charter. Would want to see the data, obviously, like everybody would. And I just would echo Bill's point that that proposed location is in the DRGR, so would be wide open to looking at other locations as well.
And so is the YMCA too.
Absolutely.
They're in the DRG. Aren't they in the DRGR?
Yes,
That's
they
a
are.
perfectly, that's always been allowed in the DRGR use, both in Lee County and the city.
Schools, right?
Schools have.
Yeah.
Public schools.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. I just wanted to let you know about that, and I guess I'm going to continue to talk with them and see how I can personally assist them or in one way or the other until I hear otherwise. And we'll be sure and try to get you the information that they provided so far as their accounts. And they're also going to need some help from staff because some of their information so far as zoning patterns, growth patterns in the city of Bonita Springs, totally unaware of. So which they are asking for a little help there. So, all right, good. Okay, and now I think we've got something. Peter, you have something you want to bring forward here? It's an agenda item. The request to interview the 3 shortlisted firms.
Right, and it goes back, just to our conversation a few minutes ago, I think where you have, on important decisions, and decisions that involve millions of dollars, I think it's great to have staff, like you say, there might be 30 applications, there might be 26 that are, don't meet the criteria, but there are 4 that are. I just think when you're looking at important decisions like this, it's great to have staff meet with them, have staff make recommendations, and have them come in for the good of the public, for the good of the city council, for the good of everybody involved, to make a brief presentation and let everybody see who's involved here, who might want to be doing these projects. And that's really kind of just a nutshell of
Okay, and
of
so
my thought.
your request is that and of course the staff has already made or shortlisted and made their recommendation on which firm. So you've already done that. You just haven't presented it to council yet, right?
It's coming at the next meeting.
But that information is out there.
We have ranked 1, 2, and 3, and it is public, and it's out there. Yes.
Right, and so all of you have your briefcase up underneath your, you're probably gonna stand on that like I am right now about all the information they derived. So you do have access to all that information for that, but what you're asking for them to do is the 3 to individually come in and do some type of presentation?
Yeah, I'd like that. I think it's, it's an important decision. We're talking $15 million. And to see the top 3 firms, I think would be wonderful. And what I discussed with Carl is let them make a 10-minute presentation, 10 minutes for questions and answers. 3 firms would add an hour to the meeting, but I think it's an hour well spent. Also in our discussion, I know that a couple of the firms are right there, neck and neck. So to see that and to make our own opinions, let the public see the opinions, how their taxpayer dollars are being spent, I think is just an open and transparent process.
I understand your in the differentiation I wanted to make between the process we're going through on the RFP on the other one and this one is that that particular one has to do with nuances so far as design and what things are going to look like and imagination and that type of things like this. I see this as part of the engineering process. I frankly don't think that we are qualified to be constructive and to critique staff's performance so far as how they looked at it, the processes they use. But so far as if I was going to go to someone and say, hey, I need to pick an engineer, I'm sorry, guys, it wouldn't be one of us. It would be a staff member. I think that's a ministerial function. I think that it's completely appropriate the way we did it. And if I was one of the contractors who had just been through the process and this wasn't notified to me as that this was going to be the selection process, and then all of a sudden council changed their minds and wanted to do a presentation of sorts, I'd be kind of freaked out right now, because I don't think that's right to introduce this at this particular point in time. And I don't think a dog and pony show, which is what it is, somebody coming up and giving a presentation, I don't think that's any way to select an engineer. I just don't think it is. I think that the proper way to select it, and I understand the transparency and all that, Peter, and I appreciate it, but in this particular case, I don't think it's appropriate. And yes, Steve.
Over the years, this is the process we've used. You always brought one recommendation to us and also indicating 2 others. Has there ever been any backlash from that over the years? So what I'm getting at, the procedure works. Nobody has a problem with it.
As far as we know, it's probably a procedure that's used in most cities.
Statewide.
It's a state statute driven.
And is it also statewide that sometimes people come in and make presentations and let people see,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah,
Let me
go
through
ahead.
here. Okay, so we have a state statute. We have a couple state statutes. You have to follow the state statute, and it's who you make as your selection committee. So we have an RFP. The RFP was mailed out. It went out. We continued with that process. We issued the notice of intended, and the word is intended on purpose, notice of intended decision, because you are the ultimate decision makers based on the record. It went out in that format, and then we talked about changing the process. So the memo I have attached explains you can do this. It is legally permissible. There's a reason we call it notice of intended decision, not notice of decision, because you're the ones who make that ultimate decision. But it can't be made on the 10-minute presentation, 10-minute answer question. It has to be made on the record. So you have a record below, which are the papers that Mr. Schwing gave you, as well as the 5 hours or so of audio tape that everybody can listen to. So there is the transparency in the process, and that is how the process is handled. Now, there was some public record exemptions, and that it's also in the backup there. I have a memo to staff. We followed some public record and sunshine law exemptions, so people could not take from other presenters, and strategies, discussions by staff that, you know, what they felt is the most important. They discussed that ahead of time, but that was not where the contestants or the consultants or teams were able to hear that. And now that time period has lapsed. That time period is a very short duration. It only goes until the notice of intended decision, or 30 days, whichever is earlier. We keep using the term August 16th, but it actually ended August 13th, which I believe is the date, or maybe the 14th, the date the letter went out, that notice of intended decision. So, I mean, the records are open, and that might give somebody now a new advantage. So you can do it.
Or heartburn.
But by doing it, you are creating some, not just administrative headaches, which I think practical, Mr. Schwing has pointed out practical considerations, but you're also creating an issue that if we deviate too much from the statute, or if we deviate and we don't follow certain processes in that deviation, then what we're looking at is potential voiding of any agreement, and then we go back to ground zero.
So right now, if we make our decision on what you gave us, on the information you collected and on your recommendation, regardless of whether we agree with you or don't agree with you, we're fine. We're on a good legal basis because we made the decision based on that information on the record.
Absolutely.
But if we create more, they've all got access to this, and we create another forum for them to come on, and we base it on something like that, we could easily, and then we decide other than what you had decided, we're likely going to be in a problem.
Right. Now, it's a deferential standard, which is the lowest burden of, it's not like a criminal case where the standard of review beyond a reasonable doubt. You can make a decision different than staff's decision. That's perfectly fine as long as you can show that you're not acting arbitrary and capricious in making that decision. And doing so, you have to base it on the record. And then once you base on the record, it would be very difficult for somebody to overturn that decision. I mean, you might end up concurring with the staff decision after hearing all this, but the question is, there are some practical considerations where you might not want, a lot of people knowing that they have a burden to go past a certain level may not want to, after doing their best shot, go again and, do it, another dog and pony show.
Okay, counsel, what's your pleasure?
Can I make one more comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I've been through a number. May I comment on this? Because I do have some conflict of interest when we vote on the
You can participate.
process.
Yes, absolutely. You can certainly participate in the discussion here.
Process.
Mhm.
Okay, I've been through this a number of times with clients that are in the construction industry, and the real decision, the technical decision that's been made here comes out of this. I mean, I've sat through presentations and they look good, but they're not a decision I could make based on that presentation. Presentation, if it comes to a presentation, it ought to be in front of staff, because they ask specific questions regarding these kinds of details. And that's where this portion of that contract comes into play and that process comes into play. I really don't think it's appropriate to bring these guys in at this time, these people in at this time. So I just wanted to let you know, if you want to make an educated decision on who ought to be selected, this is where you go.
Okay. Anyone else speak at this time? Bill?
My only comment, are the three in here the names of the companies?
Yes.
I haven't looked at it, so.
Yes, the record would have the name of the three companies, which is OAK, Wright, and Manhattan.
Okay.
And those are the contractors, and then each contractor has an engineering firm, and they have different consultants involved in it. And that's why we call them teams. They all have different teams.
To Peter's point, I think he's I think he's making an effort for us, by the way, some of us, or I think all of us, have certain expertise, and we'd like to see things quicker or in writing. So Steve has mentioned he has a possible conflict. Well, okay. Well, we don't have the free firms in front of us, but they're in this
Actually, I thought that they are listed, and also, this was an errata sheet, so we did not know this was coming up, but if you look at the first sentence of my memo, I mentioned the three entities.
But they're in this big they're in here.
They are in the
Also
booklet,
in
sir,
the-
yes, sir.
Well, that's,
All three
see,
firms.
I didn't even know that, and I think that's probably why someone would not question the staff's ability. It's not about that, but the fact is that we wind up with a final decision. And the more information I have sooner when it's allowed by law and everything is covered. But I find it difficult to, well, they've already made, you made the selection. Well, I don't have anything. And,
Okay, okay.
that's what bothers me.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this discussion we're having right now is based on an errata sheet that was presented by a council member.
Yes, I
Okay.
understand it.
So all the work that was done by staff and at your direction, I believe at the last council meeting or the budget hearing, I'm not sure which one it was anymore,
Yeah.
was that we would provide you all the information on how we got to the ranking of the firms.
Yes.
So, and that's what's in that booklet.
Oh, good.
But we're not looking for that decision today.
Yeah,
We are
I
looking for you to agree with the ranking or not at the September 3rd meeting. So there is some time.
Oh, okay.
Okay? All right.
Yeah. You got lots of homework to do. Yeah. Finish your line.
Yes.
Yes.
And part of that process, I would still argue, is to see these people and hear what they have to say.
The number one was for September 3rd.
The only person that you had scheduled to be coming in would be the
According to council prior direction, would be the
The number
number
one
one
firm.
ranked firm, which would be Wright Construction.
so council could ask them questions at that particular point in time.
That is correct.
Okay.
And based on discussions that we've had, I also know that second place finisher was very, 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 very close there. And everything is subjective here. None of us are experts in this, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, they are.
Oak.
They're sitting up there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually professionals. Yes.
By the way, Mayor, what is the makeup of the selection team?
The selection committee was myself, Public Works Director Matt Feeney, and Director of Development Services Arlene Hunter.
Those three.
And we were supervised by Audrey Vance.
I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay. So the question that comes forward is that, Peter, I think you're suggesting that that you would like to see a presentation by all three of the we'll call them finalists in this at the next meeting, as opposed to the
Just the
one.
That's correct.
And of course, so here we are. What would you like to do? You like to make that a motion?
I'd like to make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second for the purpose of discussion. Again, I think it's a path fraught with peril, so far as just the legalities of it. I understand what you're trying to accomplish, but the next time that my suggestion would be the next time prior to going through the process, that's when we set out the rules of engagement for that, because right now it's late in the process for this, and somebody's going to get beat up. That's all there is to it, and I'm afraid it's going to be us.
And I just want to point out, Councilman McIntosh he is engaged in work with one of the vendors, but at this point it would be too remote and speculative to say that the ranking would change or anything. So therefore, I think he can vote in this matter.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion?
Well, at the next meeting, we would be voting on whether we went with staff's recommendations of them or one of the others.
Yeah,
So I don't see how having the two other presentations would hurt. I mean, we do have all the backup information.
Well, and I'll tell you again, because when they come to the microphone and they give a presentation, you may base your decision on that presentation. Why else would you have them up there unless you wanted to base it on that presentation or other information that they brought forward? That wouldn't be actually a part of the record. If you based it on that and it was contrary to what that record, the official record was, I think we're gonna get sued by the other person, because they're gonna say like that wasn't appropriate. That wasn't what your RFP said. That's the problem. I mean, I know if you just started out saying, staff, we want to do this work, and you know what? We want to be the selection committee. We don't want you doing it. We want to be the selection committee. You guys keep out of it, and we're going to hash it out here in a meeting. Now, if you'd have set it up like that, you'd have been perfectly fine to do it any way you want. You could have had all 12 of them, you could have had come in here. But because we didn't set the rules of engagement up like that, because the RFP didn't say that, we're going to get in a problem. That's all there is to it. And there's really no, I don't see the sense of taking that risk when we're really talking about something that's pretty mechanical.
Now, just one last thing, and that is, again, to protect the record, to make sure nothing is considered arbitrary and capricious, because one of the elements would be impermissible favoritism. We have in the RFP a prohibition that they are forbidden from lobbying either the selection committee or staff. So I just want council to affirmatively state that they have not been lobbied to change this process by any of the applicants, by either any of the entities that are involved in this or any intermediary.
Council, it's a fair question. Has anybody been approached by any of the applicants to change the process or do anything?
I don't know.
I
yet.
haven't.
I'm not going to get approached.
Okay, good. 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 It's good to know. All right. So we still have a motion and a second on the floor. Everyone understands the motion, right? The motion would be to have all three come forward instead of doing it the one way which we had advertised. Everyone understand?
Mm-hmm.
So an aye vote is in support of all three. A nay vote, just do it the way we plan on doing it. Go ahead.
Councilman Slakta?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Nope.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Lockhart?
No.
Councilman McIntosh?
Nope.
Okay. So you will bring forward, and everybody has the information they need to make the decision, or they have the information to make a decision. And the number one recommendation will be coming in to answer any questions.
That
and
is
to give
correct.
kind
September
of a
3rd.
presentation on September 3rd. Peter, did you have anything else for us while we're at your station here?
Let's see here. No, not at the moment. I mean, Matt, I sent you a couple samples of trees, buddy, so if you could take a peek at those, I'd appreciate it.
Actual trees?
Actual trees. I don't know what they're called, but they were beautiful, and we might want to think about some of those. What's that?
Oh, you sent him a little potted plant, didn't you?
I did indeed.
That's really nice.
And no, I think that's just about it.
All right, good. Thank you very much. Okay, and Mike, what's going on to you? Would you have anything for us?
No, I went to the Florida League of Cities this past weekend, and it was a great event. I attended a few different little seminars and learned quite a few different things, and Carl did a great job presenting at one of those seminars. Other than that, I'm still a little disappointed over the road closure during the art show. I believe we could all work together and have the road open and have the art show at the same time, and I'd be willing to work with everybody and try to make everybody happy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Pete, did you say you had?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody, I mean, an issue here that obviously has been on the minds of many in the community. We'll be having a meeting this Friday morning, obviously up at Cape Coral City Hall. The Lee MPO will be voting on the study that we've all have discussed and rediscussed and revoted on. So I would just ask everybody to respect home rule, and if you're able to attend the meeting Friday morning at 9 a.m. at Cape Coral City Hall. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Bill, what do you got for us?
Thank you, Ben. I have a question. The power outages, do we have any news since that are happening? I don't know all the places, but I can speak for the out east. Yes, definitely.
We reached out to our contacts at FPL, and they indicated that they were first aware of the problems. They had been contacted previously. We're looking into it. The last message I had was a voicemail message saying that they had a crew out addressing what they think was the problem. That was late yesterday afternoon. I exchanged some emails this morning, but I haven't gotten a report back on whether or not they were successful. But they are working on it.
Okay, thank you. Second thing is Ben, you brought this up about the condition of the grass east of I-75 is now up this high again. I know you're addressing it, Carl. Any news on that in terms of the private contractors or?
Yeah, I'll have Matt come up. He's the one that's kind of been reaching out to our contractors to determine what could be done and at what cost.
I don't have the numbers back, but when the call came in, I think 2 days ago, I had Brad Browning go out with one of our contractors, Woods and Wetland, who is geared to handle that, and we had him price it look at it with the inverted median as a separate price from the ditch that's in front of Worthington to the larger ditch that's behind the kind of the roadside swale in front of Worthington. And then we went segment by segment
Did you go all
on
the way
out to Village Walk.
Did you go, we went all the way out to Village
Yes, sir.
Walk?
Village Walk, I drove it yesterday. It actually looks like it's fairly well maintained.
And
Yeah.
Pulte's cutting that in front of there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And they're kind of bound to, because the
Yeah.
Village Walk actually owns that stretch of Bonita Beach Road, as odd as it seems.
Yeah.
And the folks further to the east are remanded by a maintenance agreement to maintain it. But we will, when we get those numbers back, we'll have a contractor out there to mow it.
Okay, that's fine, but we're relieving the county of the responsibility without any discussion?
Well, when we plant those roadways, we've spoken to the county, but when we plant the landscaping in those medians, we're going to be the maintainer. So yes, to answer your question directly, we are taking care of the problem, but the understanding is we get not too far along in the future, we'll be maintaining it regardless.
And if I might add to that, before the landscaping, what we're looking to do is supplement what the county's doing, not replace it. So if their schedule's every 6 weeks, and we come in and do it, in the third week between mowings, then we're supplementing that work. We're not turning them away at this point, on the mowing part.
Okay, thank you.
And we're letting them know that we're not happy.
Well,
with the
you have to try
frequency.
to work through people, not around them, but it's been an interesting circumstance for a long time. I do note that they do cut in front of the city hall. I mean, do you cut that in front?
No, sir.
That's the county too?
The county actually does too. So as we go and take segments of Beach Road, they're going to become the cities, but there are certain areas that
I got
need
you.
a little extra attention.
Thank you, Matt.
Bill, thank you very much. Stephen, do you have anything for us?
Good.
Steve?
Just quickly, last Friday, Bill, Steve, and I attended the ribbon cutting for the training center at Bonita Grande Road, and they put on a nice event. So it looks like a good marriage between our fire district and the school, and they did a great job.
Very cool.
That's it.
Okay, good deal. Approval of minutes. Council, what's your pleasure? You want?
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Okay, we're to public comment. Public comment on any city item, please come forward. Hey, we have some public left here. Actually, Mr.
Rex
Public.
Sims, just a quick question. Several years ago, the LPA designed a overlay for the old 41 corridor area. And the question has come up, and when we're looking at this Bamboo Village thing, because it's a city-owned property, will the development or anything that goes in that development, will it also be subject to the overlay ordinance?
I would think yes.
Yeah, I think that would be yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, good question. All right, anybody else this time, please come forward. Seeing none, council, everyone, thank you very much. Staff, well done. Meeting's adjourned.
Have anything?
No, not me. Who, me? I got nothing, man. Oh, come here, big thing.